Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Watkins Glen, round 6, and now you build up your championship. This is a track where you need results because this place is narrow. This place requires timing and setup to get the result that you need, and this was the closest SCOPS qualifying that we had seen in a very long time. All 80 drivers who qualified were within 8/10 of the pole position, and drivers 41 to 80 were split by only 3/10 of a second. Welcome to the conversation. Welcome to the party on the iRacing Esports Network, a SimSpeed TV presentation brought to you right now. I'm Jake Sperry, joined by Reese Gardner alongside me, and it's stormy times ahead, Reese, as these drivers go through. Some drivers have been caught out. They're in positions they shouldn't be here today. And of course, this track is one which is very well known for bringing up the unexpected.
It certainly is. Welcome everyone to this SimSpeed presentation. We hope you enjoy the chaos that is certain to erupt here tonight. Watkins Glen, a very historic round of the V8SCOPS Championship. It's high speed, it's close quarters, walls are close at all times, and it is all about the draft. So we have seen a couple of guys in Split 2 that may not necessarily be there in other cases, like Ross Rizzo and Andrew Dyson and the like, but they definitely have a chance to get up there to the top spot and get the golden ticket. The draft is worth so much here.
This is Super Split 2 you are watching right now. Your main event comes up after this race. But before we take you over towards proceedings here today, we've got to have a little bit of a history lesson. We've got to talk about how important this track is. Reese Gardner has stood by with your fact file.
Sim racing championships don't often have a round that serves up the same level of crazy every time. A round considered the highlight of the championship, or quite the opposite depending on who you talk to. A place that has held fast through years of tumult and change in the oceanic simscape. Somewhere that is predictably unpredictable. That's what's in store for round 6. Virtual Racing School V8SCOPS at Watkins Glen is, for me, a classic, though that's largely from a spectator's point of view. Drivers' reactions to this regular round of the championship that's appeared in every season are somewhat divided. But that's what helps make this round such a draw card. It's not just the long association this track has with Australian touring cars on iRacing, it's the skill and nerve required to master it and avoid the chaos in the closest thing this series has to an oval. Watkins Glen is a classic American road course, one of the first to be built in the late 1950s. It's maintained much of its original fast nature, especially with the cup layout that this series uses. The ridiculously high speed turns and long straights mean that low downforce, low drag is king. It's all about the draft. Don't lose touch with the cars ahead and you have a chance at snatching positions. You want a pointy car because understeer is not your friend at any time. Be prepared to follow close behind other cars at speeds approaching 260 kilometers an hour and through turns that are far more complicated than their aerial views give away. Turn 1, the 90, is the most tempting overtaking spot, Brake as late as you dare and use the tarmac runoff to extend the exit. Drivers will have to be careful to give space where required because there's a sharp transition to grass that you don't want to touch. The S's are almost flat out on fresh tyres if you get the line right, but that's hard to do with the elevation change and walls blinding the run through. Turn in too late for the left-hander or carry too much speed and the right side wall will collect you. Series veteran Madison Down has done this on many occasions in his relentless pursuits of victory around this place, earning this section the nickname Madison's Wall. After the crazy fast back stretch, it's time for hard braking into the bus stop. This chicane, used to slow down the entry to the upcoming carousel, has 4 distinct apexes. The wide, white curbs have to be used to maintain momentum, but their bumpy nature and the fast approach make it difficult to gain time. This is another popular spot to try a pass, with varying levels of success. The track flows straight into the carousel, a 4th gear right-hand bowl with just enough banking to serve as a slingshot in a battle. This corner will reward and punish early throttle application in equal measure, and it's important to nail the exit as another long straight follows. Past where the boot extension rejoins the layout, it's a heavy braking zone into the penultimate turn. This 4th gear left-hander is banked and sweeping. Doesn't look like a passing zone on paper, but with draft and a good run out of the carousel, there's sure to be moves made here. They'll continue down to the final corner, a right-hander with an apex just a little earlier than you expect. Hard on the throttle and rotating the rear, it's a hard enough task ending the lap here, but at pitting time, this corner will become a whole new beast. The pit entry lane begins on the inside of the final turn, on the racing line. Pitting cars will have to slow up at the same place cars behind them are accelerating out of the turn. If you're on someone's bumper when the pit window opens, it might be smart to hang back a little. Whatever happens, we're in for another frenzied visit to New York State this weekend. With a championship fight that continues to defy expectation, at least one high-speed crash and one safety car are a certainty. The question is, when? And involving who?
And so the facts have been stated, the cases have been made for drivers who have wanted to know what it's like to drive at a circuit which has had so much go for it here today, but there is so much that can happen over the course of these 2 races that will happen here this evening. And it's worth noting about the fact that this track is known for a bottleneck, is known for a safety car, and only 2 years ago when we last used this format here, Reese, there were 8 safety cars.
Yeah, it's a crazy number thinking back on it, but just goes to show with the longer 250k race format, really throws up a lot of drama here at Watkins Glen. It's a track where the margin for error is incredibly tiny, and with all the drivers running at the speeds they are in these cars, 1.5 ton, 650 horsepower, overpowered, undertired beasts, it's definitely a recipe for disaster if you don't have a handle on things.
And well, talking about having a handle on things, we've got to talk pit strategy here in this Super Split 2 event, because it's a one-stop race no matter how you look at it. But the crucial fact is, because of this race being 32 laps and the lap length being only 1:08, it's a very wide window, Reese, that we can see the stops. Normally, drivers will try and go as long as they can, get the fuel, get the tyres, and get themselves over to the end. But maybe this race, because of the safety car factor that comes in, could be a lot more earlier we see those stops.
Yeah, you certainly could. Another option that you have to think about is the draft factor as well. Drivers that are in battles at the start of the race will want to maintain the draft they have to the cars in front, because once the pit stop cycle is through and you are the unfortunate one that doesn't have someone to draft with, then you're just going to fall off the back of the pack, and you end up costing yourself a lot of time, a lot of potential championship points too.
There's 3 places on the track where you can get a move done, and I'd say that 2 of them you have to be incredibly brave to get things done. The easy place get the move done is at the bus stop. You've got to be careful on the brakes as you go through. The later you can brake, the more that you sacrifice the run on the exit. Then you've got to look at the other opportunities. If you're brave and you can get an overlap race, you start looking at maybe the second to last corner, turn 7, out on track. For those who still think they've got an opportunity after turn 7 though, the run to the 90, turn number 1, that's another place where moves can happen.
Absolutely. The braking zone for the 90 is a bit difficult to pick in these cars, braking around the 300 marker on drivers left as they approach the turn, but it's a banked corner as well as the 90. You can carry quite a bit of speed through there, and there's a lot of space open on the exit. If you put a move up someone into the 90, you have to be careful about giving them room on the exit. I did say in the fact file there is a transition to grass at the exit of that turn where the tarmac runoff ends. It's very harsh. Drivers go over it, then there's definitely going to be a spinner.
There certainly could be here today, and this is what the drivers have to be very, very cautious about the longer the race goes on. We are 3 minutes away from the start of racing action here today on the iRacing Esports Network. But what is worth keeping in mind here, Reese, is that some of these drivers will be looking to have this pace push to go up through the field. Second straight week, the likes of Brett Loxton has not found the main event. And now you're starting to worry here about a driver who had been up there at the very, very top, someone who has a lot of experience, very knowledgeable, doesn't want to be pushed around too much, but the 209 machine will be starting probably somewhere around the 4th row. That's not where Brett Loxton wants to get going from today.
No, absolutely not. Of course, Loxton with some great form at tracks like Montreal, it's where he's had his V8SCOPS career highlights so far, but this year he does seem to have fallen off the wagon a little, and we're not quite sure on the reasons why. It could be time issues, it could be personal issues, it could be any combination of factors, but Loxton, I know from meeting him personally, a great guy and a very solid driver as well. Certainly reckon that he's got what it takes to get back up into Split 1, but whether or not he's going to do it here is another story entirely.
Well, he could be one of the first drivers to go back-to-back with golden tickets, so to speak, as he looks to try and pick up a victory. A big push, though, will be coming in from the TechSense Fitstein Motorsports entries. Harold Stadler will have the pole position for this event, but you've got the likes of Cameron Dance, who we've got on the Zoom cameras here today, as well as the likes of, say, Simon Mazzomo, who surprisingly has glasses on today. I've never known him to have glasses on, but on top of that, Rob Harris back in the streaming seat in the 606. He'll be looking to try and have some good pace, and he'll be looking to do his level best to get himself going. So Rob Harris, someone to keep an eye out on here today.
Yep, there's Rob on screen at the moment, just calming himself down before we get going racing. Little bit of a pre-race chat going over presumably the foibles of the strategy and the like. Harris is going to have a difficult one here, starting back in the field, but certainly it's going to be a fun ride for him around this place. And what about Cameron Dance as well? His teammate, Harold Stadler, starting on pole for this one, but we know that Cam Dance is one of those drivers to watch out for in a race situation. Not the best qualifier on most occasions, but once the green flag drops, he's sending it.
It's worth noting that all of these drivers who start today's race from positions 41 to 80, they are ordered by their grid slot position after 18 hours of pre-qualification. That's something to keep in mind here, ladies and gentlemen. So those who got themselves time, say 41st, 42nd, they're going to be in a much better place than a driver who got a pre-qualification time of 60th place. That's why this place is so crucial to get right over the 3 days of pre-qualification. Practice, though, is over and done with on the board. We're going to take ourselves over then to the starting grid. This is how everything stacked up in pre-qualification, and now how the race is going to look for all of these drivers. Harold Stadler will start on the pole position, and he'll have his teammate Cameron Dance alongside him there at all TechSense Fitstye front row. Ross Rizzo starts from third with Tyler Blackburn alongside in fourth. Brett Loxton goes from fifth place with Darren Lobb in sixth. And then it's an all-Scott fourth row. Scott Connors, followed by Scott Gamble. Kyle Stokes, another driver, out of position. He starts ninth with Brian Borg in 10th.
It's going to be the 032 of Josh Morris starting in 11th place alongside Daniel Misdale, Jacob Knight and Ian Bird starting on the 7th row. Daniel Ackland and Ruben Goodall for Pursuit Sim Racing 15th and 16th. Andrew Dyson, who we've seen have some success in Split 2 earlier this season, he starts from 17th. Daniel Cheney, another of the Fitstye Motorsports boys, starting from 18th. Top 20 rounded out by Mr. Rob Harris and Guy Leach for the Injectors Online team.
There is Andrew Mogridge in the blackjack position, 21st, with Hayden Veld alongside in 22nd. Row 12 consists of Rob Bowden in the tanked SRT machine, and then Benjamin Smith. Dominic Ferraris out of trick, so the man goes through teams more than I go through microphones, it seems, at this point in time. So Ferraris starts 25th. Stephen Varga is alongside him in the Mark 1 entry. Damon Mulqueen and Jamie Stovold are on row 14 with Neil Pearson and Xavier Bellamy there making 30 out on track.
And the final quarter of the field is as follows. Henry King is going to line up alongside Jeff Rahali, an old head and a young gun on the same row. Brenton O'Brien, the manager of Evolution Racing Team, starts from 33rd alongside Synergy Sim Racing's Todd Parks. Simon Mazzomo starts from position 35 alongside Grant Keynes. The new Fusion Sim Racing signing, Brett Hender, starting from 37th place with Bruce Kiley alongside him. The 40-car field rounded out here by David Kinmond and Christian Smart. Quite the field we've got for Split 2.
Absolutely we do. Christian Smart, a driver who maybe should be a little bit higher up the order than he is today. He is someone who's got a great turn of pace in the Gone Rogue Motorsports car, but you could say is the weaker of the three drivers who regularly race for Gone Rogue, that being Damien Johnstone and Jack Boyd, who normally take themselves over. So that run to the 90 is going to be crucial. A good start gets results happening. This is a place where overtaking needs to be worked lap after lap. You can't just send one down the inside and hope and pray that the driver really reacts to it. You've got to be alert. Watch out for those drivers in the third row, the fourth row, the fifth row, who could make progress through the field. Strategy could be key. Safety cars could be paramount. 3 minutes put up on the clock. The lights procedure starts on top of the iRacing gantry, and we're going to get ourselves ready for racing action at Watkins Glen. Super Split 2 will start now, and they get themselves underway. Stadler, okay, but it's a good start there from the third row by Scott Gamble. Fourth row even by Scott Gamble. He's done well. Side by side towards turn 1 they come along, and the TechSense cars pretty much putting it on lock at the moment. Stadler and Dance all nice at the front of the field, but it is Dance trying to run through. It's so tough to go too wide. Slide from Cam Dance, and suddenly the run is tapered, and Stadler has got himself 8 car lengths to work away with. Ross Rizzo needing to immediately go to the inside. Suddenly, rear gunner tactics. It's defending already 3 wide as they go towards this chicane for the first time, and Dance holds on.
Only just, and there was Dominic Ferraris and Jacob Knight getting turned around in turn 1. They have resumed running, but Harold Stadler with a mega lead right now, and Cameron Dance has turned into the cork in the bottle. Ross Rizzo chasing him down now for position 3 as they all fall in single file coming down to the penultimate turn. Stadler, the first one to get there. A slight look from Brett Loxton, but Ross Rizzo going very deep into the penultimate turn, almost rear-ending Cam Dance.
Oh, and here's a look down the inside contact. Kyle Stokes and Scott Connors, I believe that was going at it there, and that's not going to be ideal at all. He's going to drop 4 places. They all squeeze through. Oh, contact there, and that was so nearly a big incident there, as I believe that was going to be contact again as Loxton gets pushed out wide. That was Misdale even, and Josh Morris going at it everywhere you look. There's a battle. We are green after the opening lap. Already 1.3 seconds in the bank for Harold Stadler right now. Some side-by-side still. Brian Borg now trying to find a way through on Scotty Boy Gamble, but cannot get himself anywhere near. And there's Andrew Dyson, who's up 4 places off the start, trying desperately to get the move done. Breaks down the inside. There was a check up there from Borgie, and Borgie now on the outside looking in.
Yeah, looks like he's gotten shifted wide there by Andrew Dyson coming into the bus stop, but he's managed to get it going again. We ride on board with Ian Bird in position 15. It's a very interesting view with a bunch of cars in front of you around here. Very difficult to pick your lines. Coming back down to the penultimate turn, Brian Borg showing a little bit of displeasure there with the way he was passed by Andrew Dyson, but so far no harm, no foul. Dyson is right on the back of Scott Gamble and looking to pressure.
Absolutely he is, and wanting to pick up positions one at a time. It's the way you have to get this race working here today at Watkins Glen in upstate New York. Now you start seeing, well, how do you get the runs to work around this place? You've got to make sure that you're playing setup, and Dyson again looking for a way past Scott Gamble, and it's all about up the hill. You get the good run through 3, and then 4 pretty much just lisks open for you, and you get that opportunity. No chances in the back. 2nd, 3rd and 4th, Darren Lobb trying to keep in position here in 5th. This may just have to be the strategy game which brings drivers into it today, because Harold Stadler, they played the team game perfectly off of the start race.
Yeah, they absolutely did. We rode on board with Rob Harris, who has slowly made his way up this field. He's been looking very good here, starting in 19th place and now running 17th, really pressuring Ruben Goodall. And back up at the top 5, looks like a big attack by Tyler Blackburn on Ross Rizzo now. This top 4 battle closing up massively. Darren Lobb starting to close in on these two, but it looks like for the moment Tyler Blackburn having the draft advantage here versus Rizzo. No move into turn 1 though.
No move at all, and that's going to be key then in terms of the way they're trying to get this move done. You can see Cam Dance just pushing a little bit wide. They can go over those yellow lines. They do have room in their margin. There's no instant limit per se in session, but they know that if they get too many instant points, they are going to be dropping points in their championship. Good run up the hill, but Ross Rizzo is using Cam Dance as effectively his defence. There's no way that there's going to be some side-by-side right now for Tyler Blackburn. He's got to hope that maybe Ross Rizzo drops outside of a second potentially to get the move sorted. Other battles out there going on. You've got Kyle Stokes right now, who's looking backwards at Scott Connors, and those are going to be 2 drivers maybe just to keep an eye out on. There's Kyle Stokes in the Synergy Sim Racing colours. First time we've seen him in those colours for a little bit, but ultimately you can see how some of these packs are just starting to fragment a little bit. It's a group of 5 now chasing down Harold Stadler, but the big key is they've got to get through on Cam Dance.
Yeah, that is the big key of it all. Oh, I'm seeing a little bit of a problem for Darren Lobb. He might have a slowdown. He's just let Brett Loxton by for 5th place. So Loxton up into the top 5. That's positive for him, but not so much so for Darren Lobb. Cameron Dance, meanwhile, continuing to hold station as Blackburn and Rizzo battle behind him. Coming down this back stretch, it's going to be the same situation as the previous lap. Rizzo has the draft on Dance, and Blackburn with a double draft, but not quite able to take advantage of it for now.
Exactly, same for the Dyson Gamble battle as they encroach on Josh Morris here in 10th place. And in front of that, Daniel Misdale. 4 DPR cars here looking to try and get their racing done today, and there's some brilliant drivers who are looking to try and get themselves up through the order and trying to position themselves, but it's crucially all about pack and pack and pack. Here's a scrap right now. Stephen Varga struggling off the exit. Here comes Rob Bowden now trying to go to the outside to get this done. They pretty much touch as they go through. Trade a bit of paint, why don't we, as we go into the penultimate corner, and hung out to dry and almost into the grass slightly because Bowden got it on the inside. It's going to be tight. He nearly didn't give any room there, did Varga. There's 1 position, 2 positions. Someone's going to dive down to the lane.
I don't know how intentional that was there for Brenton O'Brien. It's quite the interesting line that he took. He must have planned it to some extent, but either way, he's going to pull it up. Meanwhile, Tyler Blackburn on Ross Rizzo. He's got a big run now. It's going to be a run up the inside into the bus stop for these guys, and Rizzo letting him go there as they enter the turn, and Blackburn sweeping across the front. Rizzo's been majorly compromised here. Back into the clutches now of Loxton and Lobb.
You can see how much it's cost him, half a second, and Darren Lobb may just come back here. Brett Loxton on the exit doesn't have that overspeed used by the outer line there on the exit. The corner does fall away from you, so you need to be on that left-hand side if you want to get things going. So, wide missed apex there by Brett Loxton, out of the rhythm after trying to get that move, and suddenly another 10th put back in the bank. So, up to third place now goes one Mr. Tyler Blackburn, but here comes Darren Lobb. He's going to give it a good lob into turn number 1. Mark my words, here at the 90 on the brakes, down the hill, trying to get this one turned in, but they're going to stay too wide in through the section, or panel to panel they go as they go through the next corner. They've allowed Scott Connors in. They're losing Ross Rizzo ever so quickly now. The more they go too wide, you can see that Brett Loxton with a great run through to cover the position, but look at Connors now trying to get past both of them at the same time.
Yeah, this is Kyle Stokes here in the 888, giving Loxton a bit of a bump draft down the stretch. Darren Lobb might have to back out of this one, slot in between these two. Scott Connors now right onto the back of these three, and he's bringing some friends as well. Daniel Misdale, Josh Morris, and Scott Gamble are all behind this pack and all looking faster at the moment. Brett Loxton, meanwhile, holding station at the front, but it's a very big gap ahead to Ross Rizzo, and another look from Lobb. He's not done.
He certainly isn't. He needs to get the move sorted, and he needs to get the move sorted quickly here. Otherwise, he's going to be outside of a margin to chase down all of those drivers in front. Another good run coming out to that final corner, turn 8 on the track, and again moving to the inside, trying to get the move done. Is it going to be close enough this time? Again, one car width only being given on the exit. Contact again, and they're pretty much running it along side by side. Will this be a repeat showing of what we've got? A repeat screening, some would say. And look at this, trying to go around the outside. Has he got it this time? Contact between them. Suddenly down the inside looks Kyle Stokes, but he's going to get boxed in, is he? As he tries to find a way through. No Ryan lines and Ray lines there. On the brakes they go. Loxton again going for the outside, trying to find a move, but Darren Lobb has it.
There we go. Nicely completed there by Darren Lobb, and good positioning of his car as well. Did not allow Kyle Stokes to get an advantage in that fight. He now enjoys a couple of car lengths of a gap over Brett Loxton. But Stokes and Connors, they have smelled blood, and they've seen how inconsistent Loxton has been over the last couple of laps. They will want to get in on this, especially considering that they've got the enemies at the gate banging behind him. Misdale's pretty much right on the bumper now of Connors.
Absolutely, these drivers are fighting, but it's also going on for second and third right now on the road. Look at the gap between Blackburn and Cam Dance. They are nose to tail through turn 1, and now it's all about pick up the run, because Cam Dance is under pressure now from Blackburn, who seriously got pace. Stadler pulled out 3/10 that last time by. They had brought the gap down to a second, but all of a sudden Cam Dance having to play that teammate role once again in the number 6 machine, and he'll be looking really intently behind Will, the New Zealander, trying to make sure that one Tyler Blackburn stays very much in position in the 947.
You get a good sense with this zoom camera of just how hard the drivers are working around Watkins Glen. Coming through Carousel, a fast flowing corner, but you've got to be working the wheel the entire way through. The car is threatening to break free on the exit as you reach the top of 4th gear. Great driving from Cam Dance so far to keep it in second. Tyler Blackburn looking very good right now. Ross Rizzo, having broken free of the fight behind him, now enjoys a good couple of seconds gap over Darren Lobb behind. But I tell you what, as the laps continue on, we've got to start thinking about the pit stop. These guys have all been separating into these battle packs, and they'll want to try and pit with each other if they can. And that's a move down at turn 1. Daniel Misdale for 9th.
Oh, it's not over yet. Trying to come up and under here is Josh Morris to get back, but ultimately he is not quite there at the moment. So for the time being, the team hyperdrive car trying to make the move then on Daniel Misdale's DPR. And behind, we've got some great work. Bird and Goodall going at it right now, but look at exactly what we are seeing up on screen right now. Look at how clustered and close it is. He's going to come back. We're trying to get the move. Has he got it there on the inside? No. Contact. Misdale is going to have to get to the escape road. He goes over there, the service road, and loses another place. Guy Leach will pick one up. Look at the positions Guy Leach has made in this race today here, Reese.
Yeah, Guy Leach with a fantastic run here, started in 20th and is now up into 11th place. This is one of the best runs we've seen throughout the entire field so far. Not as good as Christian Smart though, starting from 40th, he is now on the verge of breaking into the top 20, is Christian in the 999.
Absolutely, up 19 places, and that's going to be key for him. 19 places plus a little bit more will be key to trying to make sure that the strategy does work. We haven't seen many, if any, takers on the lane, and we still do not at this stage. Lap 11, and there is Smart actually trying to get the move done, serviced on Hayden Veld, but again, just not quite getting it done at the 90.
Yeah, it's very important to get a good run out of the 90, but it's very difficult when you're on the inside and trying to pass someone. The banked nature of the turn allows you to carry a lot of momentum around the outside. It's another chance for Christian Smart, though. He pulls out and has a good look at Hayden Veld coming into the bus stop, but I don't think anyone's quite brave enough at the moment to attempt to move from that far back. Flashing of the lights from Neil Pearson, meanwhile. He and Stephen Varga are getting a little bit impatient.
Absolutely they are. They know they want to get some move on, the hurry up happening, and it's just not working at the moment as they look to try and get towards their strategy and their number down on the lane. Brett Loxton becomes the first, and that's a key first to come down in and make a stop. Brett Loxton will be one of the first to come down in and get himself the stop that is needed. We have had a couple of retirements though today. Xavier Bellamy and Andrew Dyson both out of this race, so both of those drivers have struggled, but Brett in the Zuva racing car, the Zuvacorn's there, first to come in.
And the reason I gasped was because Brett Loxton overshot his pit box. He had to reverse back in, so that's going to hurt him a lot, especially considering he's pitted on his own. There's a fair chance that when he comes back out, A, he's going to have no one to draft with for the first couple of laps as Loxton, but as the rest of the field cycles through the stops, we're not quite sure if he's going to have a draft partner.
Well, that's going to be quite worrying for Brett Loxton in the 209 car. In front of him is Benjamin Smith right now, who's position 35, a few seconds down the road. So Loxton's going to have to work hard here to get himself back into position in this race. That's going to be key. Look at Tyler Blackburn again, though, for second and third position here. Cam does the gap now 0.8 of a second here to your race leader. They are slowly clawing the gap back down to Harold Stadler at the front. Stadler, of course, not part of Club Oz NZ. He is actually the only driver not in Club Oz NZ. He's Club DH at the moment, so he's got the highest in terms of a lot of issues with the server that he could potentially be having, but that will only be for other drivers to worry about. Cam Dance, though, closing it down. Tyler Blackburn also closing it down behind.
Yeah, but still no moves as of yet, and I get the feeling Blackburn is just biding his time here. I reckon there were a couple of opportunities where he could have thrown one up the inside. He would have gotten an excellent draft, but it's still early days in the race. He knows that he's going to be racing with these two Fitstyle Motorsports guys all the way to the end, so he has to coordinate his strategy accordingly. Speaking of strategy, Scott Gamble just bringing his Evolution Racing Team 543 down onto the pit lane too, and still not many takers apart from the very sorry-looking cars of Andrew Dyson and Xavier Bellamy.
Well, this is key, actually, because where Scott Gamble comes out is crucial, and he is behind Brett Loxton by not a million miles. So he's got work to do in terms of making this all strategized the right way around this place. And look at this from side by side. This is Ian Bird and Rob Harris going at it here for 11th place, and the position is changed. So Rob Harris down the inside has had a pretty good run here in this opening stint as Rob, nice to see him back racing, it's got going, but look at this, it's going on a little bit further in front. Harold Stadler getting close back in. It's a 3-car scrap for the race lead.
Yeah, it is now for sure. Everyone a little bit equidistant from each other now, and this is where the racing is really going to get interesting. Blackburn versus the two Fitstyle teammates, and we're still waiting to see what the strategy calls are from these three guys, but we're well and truly within the pit window now. At this middle point of the race, you would be expecting drivers to come on in. All of our three leaders stay out though, and there's Kyle Stokes bringing it in from 6th place. So he'll be looking to jump forward a bit. Daniel Misdale and Ruben Goodall into the pits as well, and it looked kind of messy between them for a second.
Well, they were trying to go side by side down onto the lane, and remember, it does fall downhill this part of the track. Also in Hayden Bell, Todd Park, Bruce Kiley, Brian Borg, all in. Jacob Knight also in, trying to make those stops. So keep an eye on that. A lot of drivers trying to get themselves in and out again. Where will Kyle Stokes come out in all of this as the leaders, again, closing right up underneath each other as they go through the bus stop once again, still not close enough. But the question becomes, where does the likes of Brett Loxton come out in all of this? Kyle Stokes jumps him.
All right, so that early stop from Loxton may not have benefited him well. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out in the last 5 laps of the race when everyone else has cycled through. But right now, not looking good for Loxton.
Absolutely not at this moment in time, and I think Stadler's going to dive onto the lane. He held everybody up going through, and here's the chance that Tyler Blackburn needed. This was the pick that was so desperately needed here as the pit stop window really does happen to the outside of the 90, trying to get this move done, but ultimately gets spooked through the opening corner. And here's Ross Rizzo now onto the scene. He smells blood as well. He wants in on the action.
Well, with Stadler pitting the lap before all of these guys, I would expect them to come in on this lap. But with the amount of time that Dance and Blackburn would have lost coming through the 90, might equalize things out a bit. But Ross Rizzo now has been thrown a bone. He was nowhere near this top battle when we started things out, but he's made some great runs through the field, and now he could potentially pull a dark horse if he gets his pit stop right.
Absolutely. Rob Harris also came in, like Rob Bowden is side by side off the pit exit there with Mogridge. And look at this, it's so close at the moment as they're going to get themselves out going forward. And we just caught eyes on Harold Stadler, who's come out in 15th place here. And that's Brett Loxton ahead. That was a poor stop.
Okay, so it's either a very poor stop from Harold Stadler or an incredibly good stop from Kyle Stokes. He is our effective race leader. Yes, Ross Rizzo bringing it in along with Josh Morris, and also making his way in Jamie Stovold. So it's still Dance and Blackburn racing each other for the lead of this one. They go for an extra lap, but Stokes, your effective leader.
Well, this is going to be key then. We know that the undercut is the key strategy to make it work, but you could put yourself in trouble with the tyres later on. On lap 17 of 32, Ross Rizzo is in. He'll be getting fuel, he'll be getting tyres, and he'll be looking to try and get himself moving forward, off and away, off of the marks he goes, and look how close this is going to be into turn 1. Loxton close there with Kyle Stokes, but Ross Rizzo trying to get himself the run. They're going to be side by side almost, are they? Uphill. This is going to be a really close run of things as Kyle Stokes now needs to really work and get himself getting up the hill. Look at that, right up underneath. Ross Rizzo not having himself, getting himself close enough, but here comes the opportunity for Kyle Stokes to get the move. Does he look down the inside? Answer is no.
Yeah, and it's compromised him a bit there in the second phase of the corner. Loxton really had to check himself up there, put himself back into Stadler. They have lost some time to these two now. Meanwhile, drive-through penalty we're hearing for Scott Gamble. And we're not quite sure on the reasoning of that, but we'll try and bring that to you as soon as we can. Ross Rizzo and Kyle Stokes right together now. Stokes was unsuccessful in getting by Rizzo, trying to throw one up the inside of the last turn, or at least try and spook Rizzo out of it, but a bit of a slide at the exit of the turn for Stokes, not going to work things out for him. Meanwhile, Tyler Blackburn in the pits. It looks like Cameron Dance has stayed out.
He has, and look at this. They're going to fight hard behind at the moment. Blackburn needs to get on the power quickly. Look at Ross Rizzo. They're going to be side by side up the hill now. Ross Rizzo has to attack, has to get there. Does not, though. Tyler Blackburn's got the place. Rizzo had to lift, so that's going to be key. Cam Dance, right now, this is all about diminishing returns, and diminishing returns, Cam Dance needs the stop of his life to get the net race lead here at this moment in time. Other drivers yet to come down in include Ian Bird, but Dance stays out again for a 19th lap here in this race. He is really running this one as long as possible, but right now you've got a 5 or 2 and a 3 for the race lead overall.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great battle for the overall race lead, but I do think In terms of... Oh, yeah, hello. Harold Stadler trying to show that he's still got what it takes here side by side with Brett Loxton through the penultimate turn. He's on the outside for the final corner, has to back out.
It absolutely does. It was close, but not quite enough as they go on. Look at this. Guy Leach right now under pressure. Here comes Darren Lobb and Josh Morris trying to find a way. Leach has got enough here in terms of this scrap moving forward in towards turn number one. Contact on the entry there, and he's somehow got it slowed up, and Josh Morris there just sneaking through on the inside like the repo man.
Yeah, and he's going to keep this inside line. Super narrow margin for error up through the S's. Darren Lobb holding the position as they go through the left, but it's going to be Morris with a better exit. Super brave, and slots in ahead as they enter the straight. He's going to immediately go defensive for the bus stop here, and Lobb has no chance of getting back by. Meanwhile, Cameron Dance
for the race lead. This is a key factor in this one. Ian Bird, we believe, has stayed out, has come in and made his stop, but ultimately now it's about Tyler Blackburn. Started to stretch his legs to Ross Rizzo. Kyle Stokes there just by to look at this behind, and Loxton, there's contact into the fence, hard, very hard. Goes Harold Stadler. That might be a safety car with how close that is on track. And ultimately, he has got himself out and away, and that will be a penalty for releasing himself without going to the stewards and calling for race control. Out comes Cam Dance, away he goes. But look at how much time he's lost by staying out. So much time.
Yeah, lost an awful lot out of that one. So Ross Rizzo, Tyler Blackburn, Kyle Stokes all making their way out ahead of this one. And Blackburn right now, it seems he is the favourite for the win. Harold Stadler, though, a big shame. Cam Dance has not only come out on the back foot, but with no teammate to work with.
And crucially as well, whatever race Harold Stadler has next, he will get a penalty for not holding, because that would have been a guaranteed safety car were it not for the fact that Harold Stadler there decided that he didn't want to be stuck in that position and follow the rules of the letters here in the SCOPS series. But on top of that at the moment, Brett Loxton has Scott Connors just behind. You've got Tyler Blackburn leading this race and actually walking away now from Ross Rizzo late on with 13 laps to go, 12 as they cross the start-finish line. Tyler Blackburn has proved that he has got the biggest pace out of anybody right now. Here comes Connors, maybe looking for turn one.
Yeah, he's pulling out and going for it here versus Brett Loxton. He's on the brakes just a little bit later, fires it towards the inside, but he cannot keep the momentum up at the apex. Loxton staying ahead. Crucially, you don't want to be side by side on the run up to the S's. Loxton already knows if you're on the outside through this right-hander, you're basically gone.
Absolutely, and that's going to be crucial. So Brett Loxton holds the place, but it's now started to become diminishing returns because we know Brett Loxton, first of these drivers to come in and make a stop. Oldest tyres of anybody, Reese.
Yes, indeed, and the fact that he is still able to do what he does on those old tyres, I think is nothing short of a miracle. He's having a lot of trouble keeping that thing going. Meanwhile, this battle with Daniel Ackland, Daniel Misdale, and Rob Harris. Harris, of course, with one of the big runs up through the field, he could potentially gain himself a verge, a look-in into a top 10 finish with this. Only able to get up to 11th, 10 places a bit further ahead, but a couple extra positions for Rob Harris certainly wouldn't go astray, and he's certainly looking aggressive here as Misdale goes for the move on Ackland. They make contact, slow each other up a bit. Harris is going to get one position out of this. What about Misdale? He seems a bit too far ahead here.
That was a forceful move, but a move that needed to be done. You sometimes have to use your car as a little bit more than just a car at times, and that was one of those scenarios, having to force it open like a crowbar, so to speak, to get that one done. And look at how much time's won. There's Rob Harris getting through, and all of a sudden there's Rob Bowden in the tanked SRT car trying to find a way through on Daniel Ackland, who at the moment is looking one way, and that is backwards.
Yes, indeed, and Scott Connors looking forwards here at Brett Loxton, who continues to hold the lead of this pack in 5th place. If Loxton can get a top 5 finish out of this, I reckon he'll certainly be happy. It is where he started, and he's had some big troubles in this. Connors with a little bit of a draft, had a brief look, but it's still not quite the right time to attempt a move like that. What kind of chance is he going to have down at the 90? Loxton's entry has been compromised in the last turn on some occasions. It looks like he's gotten it right this time. What is going to happen in the braking zone? Connors pulls out once again, but he cannot get on the brakes later than Loxton does. He has to stay behind again.
Absolutely he does. He'll try and look up the hill to try and get this move, but there is that small aero wash as you go on through this section. Closes right up underneath, has to lift slightly through that left-hand corner for fear of running into the Armco barrier there on the right-hand side in light blue colours, trying to get a move done, trying to look to the outside, but it's centre of the road driving from one Mr. Brett Loxton, and that is the toughest way to get by a driver when he drives middle of the road. No ways to get by. Door half ajar though through the carousel, but ultimately can he push on the exit? Almost contact there to the rear quarter panel.
Yeah, it's pretty close between Loxton and Connors there, but the bowl on the exit of the carousel helped Loxton to get the exit he needed. Connors has left himself open to an attack from Josh Morris here, going up the inside. Tiny bit of rear quarter contact, almost. Connors survives to fight another day.
Absolutely. Oh, coming in. Connors, I think that may be a penalty, potentially, or he's underfueled it. So Scott Connors, who was looking for that position, ultimately finds no one, and that is going to be a drive-through penalty. I do believe that is a drive-through penalty, and that is going to be a huge shame for him.
Yeah, that's for the incident with Harold Stadler before, where we saw him in the wall. Connors deemed at fault for that one. But the drivers that he was battling with continue racing, and Josh Morris has a bit of a luxury here, one less car in front of him. He can certainly have a run at a potential top 5 finish, but the driving we've seen from Darren Lobb today has been spectacular too. He would deserve a top 5 finish as well.
Oh, look at this. Ross Rizzo's under pressure. Cam Dance trying to come back at it for second place. And they're costing each other now. Dance hard to the inside here of Ross Rizzo. Does Rizzo let him have the position? Yes, he does. And he has no choice in the matter. So they've held each other up a bit then. Cam Dance, remember, freshest tyres by 2 laps. He's going for the overcut here today. But the issue's Tyler Blackburn walking away. That gap was 1.6 seconds. It doesn't look like that anymore. It's 2.6 seconds. A whole second drop then over the course of that lap. Tyler Blackburn walking away now towards victory, waltzing away towards victory as Cam Dance now into second once more.
With 7 laps to go when they cross the line next, Cameron is not going to have any time at all to try and jet up to the back of Blackburn. Even with the benefit of a draft, which he doesn't have, that time is going to be very hard to make up in 7 laps of this circuit. Ross Rizzo, though, still looking for a chance there versus Cam. He was right on the bumper coming into turn 1, but I do get the feeling with the form that Dance has shown over the course of this lap, he is going to start jetting ahead very shortly. Loxton, meanwhile, continues facing a lot of pressure from Josh Morris. Closer than he's ever been, and he's in the draft for the penultimate turn. This could be a potential move. Loxton isn't going to go defensive for this one. Thomas has the look, but unfortunately just not far up enough to make it work. He did force Loxton wide though, so this is a little chink in the armor of Brett Loxton that Morris can exploit.
Yes, but he's not going to exploit it if he has a bad last corner like this. Here comes Darren Lobb, but that is very egregiously defensive there. Slightly Indiana Jones and defender of the lost corner by Morris. Contact on entry through the corner. Slow off the exit, though. Look at how the tyres are struggling for Brett Loxton up the hill. He'll come along. You can see he's lost a 10th through the opening corner, and now through the next left he'll lose another one due to the slipstream, and now they'll head through the next section of road and hope there's another place on the horizon. Josh Morris clearly is quicker. He's got the nose to the inside, but not enough overlap. He needed 100 more meters.
Yeah, that was so frustrating from that point of view. The chicane just seems to come up a little too soon when you're in the midst of a battle situation. You have to maximize your run through the S's if you want any chance of getting by at the bus stop.
Absolutely, and that's been the key to the race for 5th, 6th, 7th, and now 8th place as well. It's been all about moves. You also got this one in the background. Andrew Mogridge in 15th, holding off Christian Smart, the biggest mover and shaker. Neil Pearson there with Hayden Veld and Henry King quietly going well in the ANZ Motorsports car. You can stop moaning at me now, Ben Christensen. I've said it correctly as they now move on through to the next section of road and towards turn 1. Look at Smart now having a run. Andrew Mogridge wants a really good opportunity to defend. A top 15 is not something you get every day.
No, certainly not, but Mogridge was a little scrappy on corner exit at the final corner. That's going to give Christian Smart a little bit of a look in here. How are they going to go up through the S's, over the rise, over the blind crest, up past Madison's wall? None of them hit it this time, and it's going to be Christian Smart with the mother of all drafts, but Mogridge going defensive. Can Smart go around the outside into the bus stop? They're on the brakes pretty evenly. They make contact. Smart has to go across the inside of the circuit and lift off to let Mogridge continue going. That's a slight concertina in response. Hayden Veld having to take some brief avoiding action.
Absolutely, and now it's all about setup. You've got to play chess with these positions. 5 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. This is all about setup. You try and get it done 1 lap, maybe 2 laps in advance to try and make the race happen for you. If you've got that extra 1 position, that could be vital for you, your championship, your rivals that you fight against on a regular occurrence out on track. So we'll see how all these drivers will think about that 1 extra place as they go on the brakes into the 90 pack once again. Not close enough to see moves occurring just yet, but wiggle off the XF and Christian Smart, run abandoned.
Yeah, that was very poor there. Unfortunately for Christian Smart, losing that run completely. So we're going to have to wait a bit to see how that battle turns out, but this one is still cracking away. Brett Loxton holding off the advances of Josh Morris and Darren Lobb in the 2 Mustangs. And Loxton, you'd have to feel, is driving this car effectively on the rims at the moment. It's a miracle he's been able to stay ahead as far as he has.
Absolutely, and Brett Loxton just putting himself to a testament to his car control as he hits the brakes, goes through the final corner. He is maximising every apex here, but you can see a lot more quirky at this moment. It's Josh Morris. It's almost like he's eccentric, he's electric at this moment in time, just trying to find a way through. It's not the conventional style of driving, but it is working for him at the moment. Look at this run from the hyperdrive man, trying to get past the Zuba racing machine, and you can see it says 6th gear right on the bonnet. Well, he'll need to be up at 6th gear plus. He's in the wall. He's in the wall, and he loses the place. Darren Lobb has got one straight away.
Well, there we go. Unfortunate for Josh Morris. That is Madison's wall in action right there, pushing a bit too hard through the left-hander and paying the price on exit. So Brett Loxton has a little bit more breathing room now as passing the car of Benjamin Smith with some big issues there, heavy damage. Brett Loxton holding a car length over Darren Lobb, only going to have 3 laps to defend at the line. Let's see what he can do.
Well, Darren Lobb now in the DPR car wants to try and make that push, wants to try and make that progress. So what can the 199 do with the car number 10 numbers ahead of him at this point in time? The 209 of Brett Loxton, which has had so many great memories over the last couple of years, not quite having the same run of form here in 2020. Through turn 1, a little bit of a slide going through the corner by Loxton, and there is Darren Lobb immediately there to try and get aggressive, to try and bounce through this section of road, up the hill using all the curb, a bit of grass as well as they move on forward. Is there going to be a run into the right-left chicane of the bus stop? And the answer is no, not this time just yet, unless you're brave, getting all up in the mirrors. But Brett Loxton, unfazed, says, yeah, weave around as much as you like, your tyres you're using.
Yeah, exactly, and he stays ahead for at least 1 more lap. Meanwhile, there's been a position change for 15th. Neil Pearson has gotten by Andrew Mogridge through the S's with a compromised exit from turn 1. So Mogridge falling to second fiddle in that pack as Christian Smart has continued having issues. He's running wide in the carousel at the moment, and he's falling all the way to the back of this pack. So after the excellent moves that we were seeing Christian Smart do before, this is unfortunately fallen down a bit at the end.
Yeah, the 999 car under pressure from Henry King, needing moves to be made. As there's Scott Connors, who's a lap now dropping backwards a bit more. That's 2 places now that Connors will drop to those, and I think he made his way through on both of those drivers, and the mistake after the drive-through there costs him a couple more. So that's not going to be ideal. Connors needs to work through that hill pretty quickly. Look at Darren Lobb's run, though, here with 2 laps to go, Reese. He needs to try and find a way through, and look behind. Here comes another driver trying to get through. Is that Guy Leach looking to try and get down to the inside? It is, but not enough yet.
Yeah, he's run wide through the second phase of the carousel, losing that momentum. He's going to have to gear up for another attack there on Morris, but Loxton versus Lobb seems to be the battle of the race at the moment. Defending a top 5 position is Brett Loxton at the moment. And with the draft that's available, only 1 lap to go, at the line for these guys. It is now crunch time. Tyler Blackburn, meanwhile, has already started his final lap. And what more can you say about the drive from that guy? He employed the strategy perfectly, got himself into the right battles, and just did not put a foot wrong.
You don't need to put a foot wrong around this place, and it's normally the driver who puts the least feet in the wrong place that finds themselves with the winning dance, and that's what Tyler Blackburn has done so far today. Don't hold your breath. It is the last lap, and positions could very easily change. Darren Lobb not in position to attack Brett Loxton. Josh Morris having to defend now from Guy Leach. Look at that. So hard to the inside as Leach closes up, but he's earlier on the brakes as Guy Leach heading through this section, and he goes very aggressive over the curb. I wonder if too much for the slowdown penalty, but he's still going. He's still attacking and using everything at his disposal. But for Tyler Blackburn, just 2 corners remain for the driver who clearly had the best turn of pace in this field. He worked masterfully against the TechSense Fitstyle cars, and Tyler Blackburn seals his ticket to the main event with victory here at Watkins Glen.
Brilliant run from Tyler Blackburn for Race Honours to take victory. Cameron Dance is going to hold on there for second. Ross Rizzo in third. They finish where they started. Kyle Stokes making it from 9th to 4th. An excellent drive from him. Brett Loxton, meanwhile, holding off the advances of Darren Lobb and Josh Morris. What a bit of steely determination we've seen from him. And Daniel Misdale grabbing a top 10 for DPR. Great result.
And it's all faded away for Christian Smart, because look at this. He is coasting to the line, Reese. He is out of fuel.
Big shame for Smart after fighting in and around the midfield and starting outside the top 40. To come home with a sputtering car is certainly something he's not going to be too happy about. But Tyler Blackburn will be enjoying this for sure.
Exactly, and it's going to be a great win for him, but we will see Christian Smart making that run to the line, as Grant Keynes should make the position ahead and has done. So you can see right now Christian Smart just needing to get himself over in the next 35 seconds, which sounds not like much, but it is, remember, downhill from here to the start-finish line, so he should be okay to get himself over the line. You can see him just wheeling it over here at 55 Ks, and that is the end of Christian Smart's race. So confirmation of result then. Tyler Blackburn seals his place in the racing tonight within 37 minutes and 52 seconds. He won by 3.5 over Cam Dance, with Ross Rizzo coming home in 3rd position. Kyle Stokes looked like he had the number, but the tyres faded and he got 4th. Brett Loxton, the earliest stopper, gets a top 5, holding off Darren Lobb in 6th. Josh Morris for Team Hyperdrive, he hit the wall, but ultimately Guy Leach could not capitalise. 7th and 8th for those, with Ruben Goodall 9th and Daniel Misdale rounding the top 10.
There were some big gainers in the midfield meanwhile. Rob Harris comes home 11th after starting in 19th. Rob Bowden, after starting in 23rd, comes home 12th. Jamie Stovold, 13th. Lucky 13 from 28th. Daniel Ackland makes up 1 position from where he started. Neil Pearson from 29th to 15th. Great run from him, as well as Andrew Mogridge to come home in 16th, and Hayden Veld right behind too. Henry King started outside the top 30, and he comes home inside the top 20. A run that he should certainly be proud of it. But Scott Connors, unfortunately, a drive-through penalty for the incident with Harold Stadler means he can only come home in 19th, with the top 20 rounded out by Ian Bird.
Brian Bohr gets 21st, with Dom Ferraris, a very astutely quiet race today, only up 3 places, 20 seconds. Scott Gamble had a drive-through penalty. He gets 23rd with David Kidman 24th. And Simon Mazzomo in the 5-1-5. He was wearing glasses, but he did not have 20/20 vision. He only got himself 25th overall. Daniel Cheney there in 26th with Stephen Varga finishing 27th. Jacob Knight just about finished ahead of Brett Hender there in 29th as Damon Mulqueen rounded 30.
After a possibly unplanned trip into the pit sprint, and O'Brien comes home in 31st place. Grant Cain's right behind in 32nd. Christian Smart, well, we've been over this. It could have been a midfield finish for him, but ultimately coming home in 33rd. Across the line out of fuel, Jeff Rahali coming home a lap down. Bruce Kiley 3 laps down. Benjamin Smith 7 laps down. And then we get into retirement territory. Harold Stadler taken out, unfortunately, by Scott Connors, Todd Parks, Andrew Dyson, and Javier Bellamy. Unfortunately, not making the finish out of this one, but still an excellent run in Super Split 2 to kick things off.
Absolutely, and of course, the main event will be coming up after this, of course, on the iRacing Esports Network, live on YouTube and Twitch, as it's going to be some brilliant racing action that we will see today. You do not want to miss it right now. Your main event comes up here after this.
Speedcafe.com, your #1 source for
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Six is very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to your virtual racing school V8SCOPS 2020 season with 2 Ezy Finance on for the Watkins Glen 250. This is going to be a very important round in the championship right now. Round 6, you're starting to build up the momentum, you're starting to get the results coming along together nicely, and often it is these rounds in the middle of the season that decide where the championship flows coming towards the end. It's an unprecedented season with so many drivers up and down the order with great opportunities to pick up big race wins overall, and this Watkins Glen track often puts the unexpected into perspective. It's Jake Sperry and Reese Gardner here in the commentary box if you haven't gathered or you're only just joining us right now. And Reese, God, this is going to be so interesting. There are drivers here that I didn't expect to be up here at the top, and actually the times in pre-qualification really did surprise me.
Yeah, amazing to see the amount of pace and how close everyone is in pre-qualifying as well. Of course, the draft being so important around this place, there have been some teams and drivers working together to try and get the best lap times, but even then, showing how close the times were in pre-qualifying, this split qualifying session we got coming up for Split 1 is certainly going to be something.
Absolutely, but before we take ourselves over to Split qualification, we are going to have a little look at what this track can offer, has offered, will offer. You've seen it once already if you've been here from the very beginning, but Reese has everything in terms of how this track works. Here's a few facts.
Sim racing championships don't often have a round that serves up the same level of crazy every time. A round considered the highlight of the championship, or quite the opposite depending on who you talk to. A place that has held fast through years of tumult and change in the oceanic simscape. Somewhere that is predictably unpredictable. That's what's in store for round 6. Virtual Racing School V8SCOPS at Watkins Glen is, for me, a classic, though that's largely from a spectator's point of view. Drivers' reactions to this regular round of the championship that's appeared in every season are somewhat divided, but that's what helps make this round such a draw card. It's not just the long association this track has with Australian touring cars on iRacing, it's the skill and nerve required to master it and avoid the chaos in the closest thing this series has to an oval. Watkins Glen is a classic American road course, one of the first to be built in the late 1950s. It's maintained much of its original fast nature, especially with the cup layout that this series uses. The ridiculously high speed turns and long straights mean that low downforce, low drag is king. It's all about the draft. Don't lose touch with the cars ahead and you have a chance at snatching positions. You want a pointy car because understeer is not your friend at any time. Be prepared to follow close behind other cars at speeds approaching 260 kilometers an hour and through turns that are far more complicated than their aerial views give away. Turn 1, the 90, is the most tempting overtaking spot. Brake as late as you dare and use the tarmac runoff to extend the exit. Drivers will have to be careful to give space where required because there's a sharp transition to grass that you don't want to touch. The S's are almost flat out on fresh tyres if you get the line right, but that's hard to do with the elevation change and walls blinding the run through. Turn in too late for the left-hander or carry too much speed and the right side wall will collect you. Series veteran Madison Down has done this on many occasions in his relentless pursuits of victory around this place, earning this section the nickname Madison's Wall. After the crazy fast back stretch, it's time for hard braking into the bus stop. This chicane, used to slow down the entry to the upcoming carousel, has 4 distinct apexes. The wide, white curbs have to be used to maintain momentum, but their bumpy nature and the fast approach make it difficult to gain time. This is another popular spot to try a pass, with varying levels of success. The track flows straight into the carousel, a 4th gear right-hand bowl with just enough banking to serve as a slingshot in a battle. This corner will reward and punish early throttle application in equal measure, and it's important to nail the exit as another long straight follows. Past where the boot extension rejoins the layout, it's a heavy braking zone into the penultimate turn. This 4th gear left-hander is banked and sweeping. Doesn't look like a passing zone on paper, but with draft and a good run out of the carousel, there's sure to be moves made here. They'll continue down to the final corner, a right-hander with an apex just a little earlier than you expect. Hard on the throttle and rotating the rear. It's a hard enough task ending the lap here, but at pitting time, this corner will become a whole new beast. The pit entry lane begins on the inside of the final turn, on the racing line. Pitting cars will have to slow up at the same place cars behind them are accelerating out of the turn. If you're on someone's bumper when the pit window opens, it might be smart to hang back a little. Whatever happens, we're in for another frenzied visit to New York State this weekend, with a championship fight that continues to defy expectation. At least one high-speed crash and one safety car are a certainty. The question is, when? And involving who?
And there are the facts of the matter that these drivers have had to try and get themselves moving forward. So, now that they have got themselves the facts, the stats, the everything that's needed for racing like this, it's all now about the drivers. And the big news that came along in terms of racing action over the week was that ERT lost Cooper Webster to Altus, the second driver in a month that had done so. Didn't qualify well, didn't choose or elect to race, did Cooper Webster this time around, but ultimately, this is a real worry for Evolution Racing Team. They are fading away in terms of having top quality drivers. They've got Ethan Griggolt still, but he's not racing this series. They've got Ian Ford, he's not racing this series. All hopes pinned on a young Jordan Caruso. That's not ideal, Reese.
No, in Jordan Caruso's position, you know, recent signing to the team and then suddenly being put in the position where you are the team's main representative in Australia's biggest sim racing championship, certainly not a position that I would envy Jordan Caruso of being in, but yeah, it has been interesting to see what's gone on with Evolution Racing Team over the last couple of months. They started out with an excellent run, having James Scott on board and taking the championship lead after winning in Montreal. He still holds the championship lead, but for a different team now. He's driving for Altus Esports too, with Cooper Webster taking his lead of Evolution Racing Team 2. It seems like what was looking to be a promising season for that squad is now not so much.
No, it certainly does seem to be the case. Quite a few drivers today up near the front of the field all hold the banner as well of being Trans-Tasman racing vehicles, and it was quite interesting actually to see in terms of what I said earlier on with the Sim Racing Oz website run by a good friend of ours, Lachlan, over on here at SimSpeed TV. I have made the comment that Trans-Tasman seemed a little bit stagnant, Reese, in terms of how they were getting drives in. There weren't really many people helping Madison Down to get up the top here in the SCOPS Championship. All of a sudden, the day after it comes out, there's 5 drivers inside the top 5. 4 drivers inside the top 5 that just so happen to be Trans-Tasman drivers.
Indeed, that is the case. Well, Madison Down doing the bulk of a lot of the work at Trans-Tasman Racing, being the guy who officially runs the team. and also taking control of his setup creation and stuff like that. But it is still a good squad of drivers at Trans-Tasman. You got Richard Hamstead, a long-time rival of the team and now driving for them. You've got the likes of Lee Ellis as well, a stalwart of Trans-Tasman Racing. He's making an appearance here as well. You've also got to think about Jake Maloney too in the number 29. He is a driver with an awful lot of talent and he knows how to set a car up too. So Trans-Tasman Racing always had levels of success here at Watkins Glen. They're looking to repeat that this year.
Absolutely, they are, and they're going to try and make sure that the results are going to be in their hands. Dane Warren, keep an eye out on him. He's the fastest man, pound for pound, in all of sim racing at this moment in time. And you can say at the moment, he is a driver who needs every result he can get his hands on right now, out of drops for this season. You get 3, he's used all 3 up early on by not coming to events. So Dane Warren, if he wants his championship to fall into his lap, he's got to continue putting on results. At the moment, he's only had 2 types of finishes this season, Reese. He's got 3 race wins and a 19th place finish.
Yeah, and it's not quite the record that you'd want to see 6 rounds into a year-long championship. And using up those drop rounds certainly not going to work out well for him later on, but Dane Warren, certainly one of the drivers that are the most capable in this series, and we should look to see what he can do towards the end. Brenton Hobson, meanwhile, for Synergy Sim Racing, making one of his first appearances on our live Zoom call-in. We'll be able to see how he tackles this place in his Synergy Sim Racing car.
That's a band-aid on his hand, is that not? So he's had a little bit of a nasty cut, it seems, out on there. So we'll keep an eye on him as he goes on forward. That won't be the most comfortable of things to drive with there, Reese, as you go through. Sim racers are traditionally tough men who know exactly what to do. This is Harley Haber, of course, the Vegemite of sim racing himself. You either love him or you hate him, but you cannot argue with his talent. He is probably one of the stars of the future to keep in mind.
Yeah, fighting for the championship early on in the season and moving to United Sim Sports after round 2 at Sonoma. And he's a driver that certainly is showing bucket loads of potential. He has for a couple of years now, but still has yet to really break into that top echelon of drivers in V8SCOPS. Sam Blacklock, meanwhile, one of the Altus Esports guys, he's had some patchy results in recent times, but has lost none of his speed and staying hydrated as well. Good to see.
Good to see as well. He's been more focused on his media work more than his sim racing over the last 6 months or so. So he'll be looking to try and get a rare occurrence to drive out in the field. There you can see Ben Christensen in the ANZ Motorsports car. Nice smile as he's going through. He doesn't seem confident. He's shaking his head a little bit there as he goes on through. So he'll be trying to make sure that his result works out all nice and kindly for him today. The one worry that he does have is that he's slower than his co-driver at the moment, that being the man who's starting today in car number 2. That's Kobe Jones, who's got a fantastic run of things here today to go and look at.
Yeah, certainly has. Kobe Jones lighting up the timesheets and the on-track action with a very striking livery on his machine, and certainly looking good. See what he can do further on in the season, and have a look here at the new background for Thomas Hinz. We aren't able to tell if he's made his bed anymore. What a tragedy.
Oh, I know. We were going to make beds. Beds? Well, I wasn't hoping to make his bed, but we were going to make bets on whether he made his bed or not, and now we can't anymore, and that's a real shame, Reese.
It certainly is, but at the very least, he has an extra bit of real estate to give to the sponsors there at RA2 on that RA2 Racing Mustang. Only 2 minutes left in this practice session, though, Sperry. We're about to move into qualifying, and it's going to be another split session. Each half of the field, in terms of pre-qualifying times, is going to get 15 minutes each to set their one time and stake their claim for pole position.
And what's crucial is that the split is done thanks, of course, to the 18 hours of pre-qualification, there is now more emphasis on putting yourself inside of the top 20 now more than ever. Every position becomes a vital battleground. And look at the track temp at the moment here in this practice session. It is just 8:03 in the morning in sim time. So this track is going to get hotter and hotter the longer that things go on. But at the moment, in a mostly cloudy state, it is cold.
Yeah, very much so. 22 degrees on track, 21 degrees air temperature, and mostly cloudy to boot. So there's not going to be much UV hitting the track and heating it up. What the drivers can expect out of that is cars that have a bit more of a responsive front end, but the rear will be on a little bit more of a knife edge through these fast corners.
You might just say that those drivers who are going out earlier here in this session are going to have a bit of an advantage with the way that this session is going to be looking. Qualifying may be a different matter entirely, but as things stand on the timing stands, Borzan El-Nabi is the man to beat on a 107.7. Then it's Madison Down, Dane Warren, Harley Haber, and Richard Hampstead, your top 5 in practice. One driver just before we head over to qualifying, Reese, that I was really surprised at in terms of pace. Number 13, Luke Pink.
Yeah, what a surprise there, and a driver that I've certainly not seen much of beforehand, winning the Erebus Junior Cup on the weekend. So a driver with an awful lot of talent behind him and getting himself up into the top 7 in the practice timesheets. Certainly something good to look out for car 13, Luke. And considering we were talking at the start of the session about Evolution Racing Team's troubles, well, he's in Evolution Racing Team colours, isn't he? Another ray of hope.
Another solution, and that you could say evolution of the team, going through member after great member after great member. Pretty much any driver in Australia who's had a fantastic career, barring Josh Rogers at some point, has run away through at Evolution Racing Team. But drivers getting themselves ready and out, and it will be the Team Hyperdrive car of Kyle George, which will be first car out on track, the likes of Danny Davison there, Kate Hewson. There's Kurt Stenberg in the mix, Clint Shane Smith, the likes of Reese Keane. There's Borzan El-Nabi. He'll be out in the first split because of his poor pre-qualifying times. He wasn't up there representative compared to other drivers he was fighting against. But you've got the likes of Thomas Hinds, Ben Christensen in the mix. And let's not forget Tyler Blackburn as well, your Super Split 2 winner, will be looking to go out and get some times out there on the track.
He certainly will, and being part of this first group, we've talked about how this first group may very well have an advantage over the second, so Tyler Blackburn will be able to get a time in that he's happy with, and he may avoid starting on the back row, because usually we have seen our Split 2 winners starting very far towards the back of the grid. But Kyle George coming around to start the first lap of this qualifying session for Team Hyperdrive. And across the start-finish line he goes into the 90, third gear. And it's a banked corner with a lot of runoff on the exit. Use as much of it as you can, but avoid that grass. Up through the S's as well, almost flat in 5th gear. You're changing up to 6 on the exit right here by the wall. Over the hump and down the back stretch. An incredibly fast circuit. And these turns, very difficult to get right, but he's got a few more to come, Sperry.
You're still climbing at this stage before you hit the bus stop, and you pretty much have to jam it 164 Ks before moving through the long carousel, the left-hand tyre killer, as you move on through. Nice and narrow all over the curb, and just funnel out to the outside there of the off-camber exit before you head back down the hill, passing the boots, which we are not using in this layout as we haven't done for the last few runs of this place. Penultimate corner there, nice passing corner if you can get it done, and then that final section, use that small strip of tarmac to get yourself going over towards the line, back down the hill to finish a lap, and Kyle George sets the pace, 108.4, currently the margin to beat, but Danny Davison there, jumping up top, 108.1. Now all of a sudden the quickest time on the board. Likes of Forza and El Nabi, though, 18-6. Only a side to go. And remember, compared to the rivals, Forza and El Nabi, with one drop round, is leader of the championship in effect here, Reese. So he knows that his rivals today, they go on after him. He can only set the quickest lap possible, and the drivers behind must follow.
Yeah, exactly right. So El Nabi needs to put a time down. Wayne Burke has just gone 7th on a 1:08.413. Thomas Hins has gotten himself up into 2nd as well on that particular run. Great time from him, 1:08.3. Michael Taliancic setting a 1:08.5 to put himself into lucky 13th position.
For now, at least. And that's the key for now, because you've got another 20 drivers who will want to try and make sure that they put themselves at the pointy end of this championship. And it's all about positioning. It's all about draft. And drivers maybe didn't get as much as they wanted. Drivers coming after maybe only one lap then to try and get new tyres and get themselves going again. Kane Houston, though, he'll go for another attempt here. 1:08.7. He's on at the moment. He's felt like he's had improvement, and he does not. He invalidates the lap, so he'll be going out again to get things going. Driver like Tom Freer, for example, in the 9.46, he's got himself into the 10th position out on the road in the fantastic Pursuit Sim Racing team. And Freer will be looking to just pull over to one side here to let Chris Cox head through. Remember, no escaping allowed here in this session. If you get yourself into a wreck, you've got to bring yourself back to pits.
Exactly right. That is the rule that V8SCOPS has run with for many years, and it's all part of the attempt to make this as close to a real-life racing championship as possible. Chris Coxhead coming across the line again. He still has not set a representative lap time. Neither has El Nabi, neither has Tyler Blackburn, but all of them are now out on the circuit and looking to improve. Coxhead might bring it in after this, but definitely look out for El Nabi and Blackburn on this run.
Exactly, they should be drivers to keep an eye out on. There's also Wayne Burke in the number 89 machine. He's been so consistent over the course of the season so far. He's been peppering in and along the top 10 in terms of no drop rounds. He's right up there in the championship and will be a true driver to really keep an eye out on when Enduro season comes into full swing, Reese. But for the time being, for car number 89, it's all about getting the best result possible right now this second.
Yep. Currently remains in 7th. Does Wayne Burke, and that's a big problem between Coxhead and El Nabi coming together on the run up to the penultimate turn. Coxhead's going to bring that bit into the pits, but I don't think El Nabi will be happy nursing a little bit of damage. Modem simulation replay then of this particular incident. It looks like it was a case of El Nabi not getting out of the way, because let's have a look down here at oh yeah, goodness me. Coxhead was on a good lap there, but El Nabi, I think, not quite aware of where he was, so Coxhead will be fuming a little.
Well, Coxhead could actually put that into the stewards, and we haven't seen many qualifying issues come up. The last time I remember a penalty being administered in qualifying, it was Snetterton 2018, when Simone Maria Marcheno decided he wanted to go full into Richard Hampstead and paid the price for it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he'll be submitting that particular one to race control, will Chris Coxhead, but if he does, I'm sure they'll give it a fair look. Of course, as you said, Sperry, these things don't happen very often. Danny Davison electing to abandon that particular run. He remains at the top of the timesheets, but continuing to go here is Kyle George, and he's not going to set a quicker lap time on that particular run. Oh my goodness, Forzan into the 107s.
And by 0.2 of a second, he is clear. 107.927. Forzan El Nabi is at the top of the world at this moment in time. Davison up to second, Hinsey third. It is Kurt Stenberg in fourth, and Brad Ratu currently in fifth place. Out on track, so times become valuable. No time there that time through for him right now, but every position matters, and we're talking about positions mattering right now. Clint Shane Smith on a 108.4, 9th position. Great work by him in car number 4. The big AOC on the side there, the sponsorship. That is a good time from Clint.
Yeah, certainly is, getting himself into the top 10 and having to shuffle around a little bit here on pit exit. running up behind Ben Christensen as Reece Keane made his way around these guys. Clint Smith, not a driver that is a regular competitor in this championship, but always seems to show these dashes of supreme talent. Looking forward to seeing how well he goes in this field and if he can keep that position in the top 10.
And that's crucial. Positions in the top 10. There's a lot of drivers who'll be hungry, and it may just be that he's looking at the top 20 if he's not too careful. If times start to improve the way that people are expecting them to here today. Chris Coxhead currently looking for a lap. He's the only driver who's not put, well, firstly, A, a representative lap time, or B, inside the 107% pole time if that were a thing. That's changed, 108.4 up to 12.
All right, so Chris Coxhead gets a little bit of a lifeline as we ride on board with Thomas Hinz. This is his second attempt, I believe, at a fast lap time, and the face of steely concentration as per normal with Hinzy coming down the back straight and into the bus stop. Nice, clean lines through here. The car fights you over the bumps, but he's keeping it nice and smooth and controlled through this section. It's all about slightly underdriving the car through this section. You do not want to have the rear end brake free here.
And this is one of the things actually about this Watkins Glen circuit as Hinzy makes his way to the penultimate corner, Reece, is that it has that feel of an Australian street track as he pushes slightly wide and misses the apex a little bit. That might be the lap falling away from a 108.3. He'll dive down onto the lane. It has that feel of an Australian street circuit, and that's the sort of joys that this series has. It doesn't have all of the perks of having all of the Australian street circuits available on the iRacing service. So they get creative. They go to tracks like Watkins Glen. They go to the former Oran Park. They go to places which actually feel like they are pretty much nice tracks to go and run at. Questions there have been over the calendar on going to the same old places time and time again, but when you've got places like Belle Isle coming up and you look at what's coming up on the iRacing service, confirmed Long Beach but not this build coming up, Reece, you know, there is so much potential for the 2021 season in terms of calendar picks.
There absolutely is. I mean, Belle Isle, we've already seen can put on an excellent race in Australian touring cars. We saw it with the one of the Race to Reality challenges we've held over the last couple of years. And I certainly think that Long Beach is going to be a good pick for these cars as well. They've got a nice tight steering lock, so they should have no problems getting around that final hairpin. Watkins Glen, I do think that it is comparable to an Aussie street circuit if you were to exaggerate a street circuit's attributes by 2.5 times, because this circuit has an awful lot of fast corners, but once again, the walls are very close. It's got a chicane, it's got bumps, it's got everything that is usually appearing on a street circuit in the series this car's race in real life.
Exactly, and that's the key for these drivers. They're going to be trying to push as times improve. Tyler Blackburn jumps inside the top 10, 108.426, 4 thousandths clear of the car number 4, Clint Shane Smith. So that's going to be key. Philip Worley, through all of this, has jumped his DPR car up into 5th.
Wow, and it's a great run from Worley in the 233, making his way through the bus stop at the moment on a cool-down lap, but Ben Christensen will look to advance himself a bit further as well, starting a flyer, Linsell, up into 7th place on a 108.374. Great time from him, but how is Christensen going to tackle this?
Well, this is going to be key here for Ben in the number 9 machine. ANZ Motorsports up through the hill. Oh, there's the wall. That's how he's going to tackle it. That's an invalidated lap race.
Oh, and he's not happy at all, is Ben. He was on a very good run there, and that's the kind of reaction you'll see from pretty much any sim racer driving an Australian touring car around Watkins Glen. It's that slight little error, the small turn in just a little too late to the left-hander, or carrying a little too much momentum up the hill. Just that slight little tap invalidates your entire run, and you barely even started the lap. What about Chris Coxhead then? Starting to come up in lap times, running a mid 108 on that particular occasion. It's not going to be an improvement for him.
Well, they are starting to hit that level where the track is rubbering in a little bit here, Reese, and it's about this 15-minute mark where you start to see all the issues come in. Remember, it's crucial, 15 minutes. That's all they have, and they're down to the final 2 minutes of their session. There will be a 5-minute break, and then the other drivers will now start to try and put themselves in. Sorry, a 10-minute break, and the other drivers will look to try and get themselves moving forward. So, this is going to be a little bit crucial to how this one's going to go. These few drivers, likes of Tom Freer, Reese Keane, Chris Coxhead, all needing to improve from down near the bottom of the timing stands. 108.5 at the moment is the bottom at 21st. So that is a difference of 0.6 first to last at the moment. And remember, El Nabi is someone who is expected to be challenging today for pole position. So this is going to be crucial here, these final few laps. Any 100th that you find could be massive.
It absolutely could, and you'll be hoping that there is a car far up enough in front of you that they don't come back into you and slow you up, but still far enough ahead that you can get a good draft out of it. Jamie McKnight is not going to have that luxury on this particular occasion. Currently sitting in 19th position on the timesheets. Oh my goodness, yes, Wallace up into 9th place. That's an excellent run in the race on Oz Machine, Blackburn's teammate as well.
Yeah, and everyone looking to try and get some times. They've got a minute to go now on their clock if they want to get themselves over for one more lap. And it will be one more lap as they go through. As at the moment, it seems like times are coming down. Hugh Barter currently up into 15th after that time. He needed it there. 108.468. Good time from him as he went over Blacklock on a 5.70, not good enough to improve on times, but now you start looking, 40 seconds to go. Kurt Stenberg will get one more attempt to go over the line. 108.325, his best at the moment. He'll go on to start his final attempt now out on track, as will Wayne Burke, who comes over the line. He will have one more go. A lot of drivers having one more goes. Ratu will not, though. Only 5th. He will go as high as at the moment. Kane Hewson will dive down in, as will Justin Wallace, as well as Jamie McKnight. So nothing doing for those drivers at the moment. Worley's going to dive down on the lane, as will Hinds. Everybody can't find anything at this moment as the timer expires on session then for these drivers. Barter will have to come down in. Does Chris Coxhead have anything more? Taliancic might be on a stormer here. Going to try and make a run from 13th place. 777 was as high as 3rd in the championship earlier on in this season. Over the line, 108.413, jumps 2 places up to 11th, knocks down Tyler Blackburn. Good time as he crossed over the line. Has anybody else got anything more? Christensen sliding it out of the final corner, trying to get a time in, but ultimately I think that might be slightly slower. Answer, 108.6 there for Ben Christensen. He tried his best to get that one over. Clint Shane Smith does not find a lap time either, and over the line went Kurt Stenberg for a 3:01. He improved his time, but he was 1,000th short, Reese, of position.
Oh, just 1,000th. Oh my goodness, Wayne Burke there up into 3rd place right at the end. An excellent run from the OPR driver. Last gasp, 108.292 at the final hurdle, and that is everyone, yes.
Absolutely. There was a penalty for Forzan El Nabi for not getting out of the way in that qualifying session. That is huge in terms of what he needs to get his consistency going, in terms of what that penalty has equated to. He had been benched for the rest of quali after that incident. So Forzan El Nabi then is on pole position provisionally on a 107.9 with Danny Davison alongside him at the moment on a 108.1. Burke 3rd, Hinsey 4th, Kurt Stenberg 5th. Following that, Ratu, Worley, Lindsell, Ben Christensen and Justin Wallace, the top 10 right now, with Taliancic 11th, Blackburn 12th, then it's Clint Shane Smith, Tom Freer 14th. He's been complaining that he's been losing his pace a little bit and he needs to find something. Hugh Barter there 15th, with Coxhead 16th. Then you got Blacklock, George, Hewson. So that's the 2 hyperdrive cars, 18th and 19th. James McKnight and Reese Keane make 21 at the moment. Reese, you gotta look, though, at the drivers who are going to be populating, though, these last 20. You have got drivers who are streaming gods. You've got drivers who are incredibly quick. You've got young stars coming through. There are so many drivers out here who could make a name for themselves today.
100% correct. This top half of the field, some of the best sim racers in the oceanic region, and a lot of up-and-comers as our Oceanic Sim Racing safety car does a reconnaissance run around the circuit. Nick Parker is going to be driving the safety car tonight. We'll see how many appearances he makes. But drivers like Andrew Gilliam, we should definitely be looking out for. He's been knocking on the door of a race victory this season, and he's going to break that duck soon. I can absolutely feel it. He's got huge pace in that Pursuit Sim Racing car. But James Scott and Harley Haber fighting for the championship, they will see the kind of times that Wayne Burke has been capable of as he is fighting with them. And now they're going to have to see how much time they can wring out of this heating up circuit. It's only gone up by 1 degree, but that is going to make some difference.
And that's going to be crucial to keep in mind. The sun has come out, and it's not tomorrow, it's today at this moment in time. So these drivers have got to be pretty much on it from moment number one when it comes to this session. Look at the sort of drivers then who will be fighting. Of course, you got that fantastic team at Trans-Tasman. You got Madsen Down, Richard Hamstead, Lee Ellis in the team, Jake Maloney going to go at it. You've got drivers like Andrew Gilliam, Dark Horse, James Scott, who is technically championship leader on overall points at the moment. Harley Haber is in there. You've got some young guns in there looking to try and make some names for themselves. Luke Pink, Robin Kirk. For example, you've also got Kobe Jones, just 19 years of age, who we're looking to try and make a good run of things today. Jordan Caruso, and then, of course, Car 57, who has been clearly the driver to beat this season when he's turned up, Dane Warren. It's a who's who at the front of this field, or will try and get to the front of this field, and they've got 15 minutes in the next 30 seconds, Reese, to make sure it happens.
Yep, not a long session. Nick Parker brings in the safety car. He is satisfied with the condition of the circuit as it is at the moment, pulls it into the front pit box, and we will have only 20 seconds left for these guys to get ready. The pressure is on. They've seen that there's only been 2 or 3 proper runs they can make in this 15 minutes. It's a short circuit, but the mistakes you make, minute and cost.
Exactly, it's going to be key. And look at Brad Ryan encroaching on the line. Time starts now. 15 minutes. Let's get ourselves going. Qualifying now is into the second stage. And all of these drivers have to be absolutely on it right now if they want to get the result they want out of this event. They have to put themselves in the best possible position because, as we know, Reese, qualifying pretty much has been the sum up for the race. It takes a lot of strategy work over 64 laps to negotiate a way through the field here at Watkins Glen.
It definitely does, and you'll probably see a few surprises come up through this field once we go green for racing, but we still have to decide who exactly is going to start on pole position. Brad Ryan gearing it up, going a little slow on his outlap. He's got Sam Sutton behind him. One Performance Racing teammates, both of these guys, but Sutton will be looking to get up there with Wayne Burke, and we know he's certainly capable of that. Brad Ryan, on the other hand, a veteran in the Australian touring cars on iRacing, always had some skill under his belt and an old head on these very young shoulders of the Mustang. Brad Ryan begins his lap.
It's all about the pressure.
Whoa.
You've got 15 minutes. You can see how much he was pushing wide there at turn 1. You can get away with it. There's no 0x incident at that point, but you cannot take liberties with the grass right on the exit there, Reese. Mainly because that will give you the off-track 1x incident point, which pretty much invalidates the lap time, and you cannot have your lap time invalidated early on. These tyre models, NTM version 7, they've moved towards more of a supercar soft tyre, which puts them in the position here, Reese, where it's pretty much first lap on the stint is the most vital.
Yeah, you have to get it right out of the box, and that slide at turn 1 from Brad Ryan is not going to help him here. It's probably going to have cost him at least half a second in terms of lap time, but we'll wait and see where he slots in relative to everyone else when he crosses the line. Out of the final turn he goes, and it looks like this is going to be a reasonable lap time from Brad Ryan. It's going to be a low 108 from him, instantly to third. Sam Sutton goes into fourth. Richard Hampstead goes immediately to second. 108.012. Ethan Warren tries to slot in 19th place. Dane Warren running a 108.1 as well. This is looking like quite a close top five here. There's only a couple of tenths separating them all.
Exactly. So El Nabi, Hampstead, Haber, Davison, Warren, your top five at the moment. Caruso jumps to fourth on a 108.151. Good luck from the 012 car. Luke Pink up to seventh then in ERT colours. So the times are coming in, and they're coming in pretty thick and pretty fast at this moment in time. But for the time being, there's going to be a couple of drivers looking to push. Here is Madison Down at the moment, someone who needs some good results. 43 seconds coming out of the carousel, and now looking to make a push. This could be a big lap right now in terms of the way things are looking for Madison Down here in the Trans-Tasman car.
Yeah, only car to have not set a time in the entire qualifying session yet. Running it very close on exit. He's going to abandon this run. It hasn't been good enough. I did sense that he might have gotten an off track at the bus stop, so serving to abandon that run. Not got much time left to make good on it. The two ERT boys here, though. Luke Pink is going to bring it into the pits here along with his teammate. First run over, and they'll be very satisfied with that.
108.350 for Jack Boyd. That jumps him to 19th place. And get this, third to 19th at the moment is split by 2 tenths. You could go even further back and say third to 22nd, split by 2 tenths. The one driver who's not set a representative lap time so far has been Andrew Gilliam. In terms of those who have a lap, Madison Down has not set any lap at the moment. Here comes Gilliam over the line. That's 16.5. That's a little bit better, but he's gearing up. But the issue he's got is that the moment he comes out then of the final of the first corner, there's drivers coming out to the pits. You'll have Hobbo 88, Brenton Hobson just in front of him, bandage and all.
Yes, indeed. Hobbo still far enough ahead of Gilliam that he shouldn't be having an effect on his draft, and we get another view of Hobbo way up ahead there of Gilliam. It's going to be giving him a ever so slight draft. You see how smooth Hobbo is being there through the bus stop on this particular cooldown lap. Should we call this Band-Aid, Cam? Jay asks, and yes, my answer is yes as well.
Well, on Band-Aid Cam at the moment, Brenton Hobson wants to try and make the push in the number 88 machine. And of course, he has his Twitch streaming going on right now at Hobbo88, but that's a different point entirely at this moment. He's looking to try and find improvements in the Synergy Sim Racing car. He's 36th on a 108.5 at the moment, and that was his outlap, so he goes on to a fire. Gilliam, though, goes up to 6th place there on a 108.189. Absolutely fantastic. He's on the third row, but this is a tough third row. Remember, Danny Davison can't improve on his times. He did that in the opening split. Forzan El Nabi can't either. Hampstead finds himself just a 10th back, and at the moment, United are 1 and 3 here with Harley Haber in third.
Yeah, good run from United coming through this session. Haber still has some chances to improve. He's not that far behind Hampstead in terms of pace, so if Richard isn't able to hook it up, then Haber can definitely capitalize. Haber's just coming out of the last turn now. Don't know whether it's an out lap or a hot lap, but he crosses the line, and it's a 108.195. So at least he knows that he's still able to run those competitive times.
Dane has improved, 108.175, 6th position still though. Worth noting about Luke Pink, he's 15 years of age right now. He's really young in terms of getting on the sim, and he knows what he needs. If he's 15 and he's 8th at the moment in a field like this, there's only one thing to say here: we've got future championship material in the making.
Yeah, we certainly have, as Brenton Hobson puts himself up into 24th position. Good improvement from him. Harley Haber making his way out of the bus stop. Currently sits third on a 108.127. If he wants to beat Richard Hampstead, he has to find a 10th and a 100th. Oh my goodness, yes, Caruso up to third. That's surprising. Caruso is really stepping up here.
Absolutely, 108.120, good enough to get himself to third. He jumps ahead of Harley Haber, making the times work. So now all of a sudden, drivers will be needing to find every position that they can. They've got themselves 8 minutes, and Madison Down still doesn't have a lap under the belt. The track's gone up an extra degree now to 24, and that's going to be worrying here. Madison Down, remember, he was in exactly the same place last time we were out racing, and that was going to be a tough and tall order for Madison then. Now, he's at a track where every degree right now matters so much more because of how close the field is.
Yeah, exactly right. James Scott comes across the line to set a 108.31, and that's not going to help him there. Not an improvement for him. Ethan Warren has just gone up into position 10. Dane Warren still touring his way around the circuit here. Tell you what, this session has thrown up quite a few surprises once again. What can Jake Maloney do here from 12th?
What can he do from 12th position? That's the question, as he will try and look to improve. He's on a 108.231 at the moment. He is only a 10th and 11 thousandths behind third place. That shows you how fine the margins have to be around this place today. Elnabi, Hamstead, Caruso, Haber, Davison, your top 5 at the moment, as every driver searches for a little bit more out on track. But the question still becomes the same. What can Madison Down find? Through the right, through the left of the chicane. He is using all of the track and a bit more there in the Trans-Tasman racing car. Down the hill through the carousel. This is key in terms of times. Car 77 is probably the nearest challenger on pace, we would say, over the course of the season so far to Forza Elnabi. Needs a result today at Watkins Glen, a track where he has been so close so many times over the last couple of years, especially last year with Jared Filsell. Through the final corner comes Madison Down, looking for a lap, and this should be one lap in the book. It should be a good lap in the book. Across the line, it is a 107.999. He goes to the front row.
Okay, well, pack up everybody, time to go home. Madison has done everything he needs there, I reckon. 107.999. What a time.
And look at Brad Ryan behind. He's jumped up to 6th place on a 108.1 race.
Whoa, okay. Wasn't expecting that at all. We still got to expect a time from Harley Haber as well. Remember, Ryan is starting to close in on Haber in terms of pace. So what can Mr. Haber do coming through the penultimate corner? Car 21 has seen some drama this year, but it's seen some shadows of success as well. It looks like Haber not committing to that run. He still has one left, though.
What's surprising at the moment is how shaken up this field is. Dane Warren is only 9th at the moment here in qualifying. Sam Sutton down in 14th place. James Scott is only 15th overall at the moment, and it is showing here right now just how close this field is up and down the order, and these drivers in the second session have really not had the rub of the green, so to speak, in terms of the way this race is, this qualifying's gone. They've got 4 minutes remaining. They are allowed to finish their laps, of course, but this is going to be a crucial 4 minutes. They're going to probably get themselves in. They've got 1, maybe 2 runs left if they want to get it going.
Robin Kirk has just promoted himself from dead last to 31st, running a 108.461, puts him 1,000th of a second ahead of Adam Briggs. Meanwhile, the ERT boys racing around, looking to get another run in. Jordan Caruso leading Luke Pink here out of the final turn. What kind of time is this going to be from Caruso? Can he improve on 4th? No, he can't. It's only 100th or so more that he needs to make up. Luke Pink, meanwhile, into 10th.
Into 10th at the moment, but that wasn't on that time going by. That was going to be a tough, tall order that he's got to go forward and to move through the motions to gain that extra place. Ethan Warren now jumps to 7th place in the car number 59. He's faster than Brother Dane, and crucially, he's up there ahead by 3 positions, or 108.169. He's 1,000th clear of Danny Davison.
And that's all he's going to need if he can't make an improvement, and if the drivers behind him can't make an improvement either. 7th place certainly going to be a start that Ethan Warren's going to be happy with. Richard Hamstead looking to improve on a 3rd place provisional start here. Looks like it's not going to happen. Nope.
Nope, just now. So, under 3 minutes left. Drivers, get yourself ready. You need the laps of your lives to improve on position. The one man who's got that pole did it in the opening session and did so whilst having to be benched for the second half of it. That was Forzan El Nabi after contact with Chris Coxhead. It will be a controversial pole position if he picks it up, because remember, El Nabi set that lap dead after the contact with Chris Coxhead. So, what can the likes of Madison Down, Richard Hampstead, Caruso, et al. All find when it comes to laps? Madison onto a flyer right now, for example, and the ERT train coming out with Pink and Caruso, both trying to get themselves going. Drivers coming in for the final tyres and their final runs on track.
Only a couple minutes left here for drivers to take advantage. Jake Maloney bringing it in. Oh, it's a mistake from Sam Sutton. And it looks like that's going to be bad for him. What happened here to Corey Preston?
Well, he's pulled over to the side of the road and said, I can't go quicker, so he will take the escape and take no further action here in qualifying. So Corey Preston, who hasn't had the most amazing qualifying by his standards, he's down in 39th place. He'll be hoping for more when the race comes into full fruition at the moment. But a minute and a half to go, Reese, and this track right now at 24 degrees, only going to get hotter. Right now, you feel if drivers have anything, they've got to hope that they have got the lap of the gods underneath them.
Yeah, it would have to be a freak occurrence, I think, to go much faster in this final stage, but we've still got drivers out there looking to have a red-hot go of it. Jordan Caruso is still touring around. Richard Hampstead is bringing it around for another lap in this session. Still got drivers looking to make good on the potential they feel they have. Dane Warren coming out of the final turn.
And looking across the line, it is an outlap. So this is the last chance to improve on 10th place. Drivers who will not improve. No, there will be drivers who will not improve. The likes of James Scott will not go any quicker. Drivers need everything they can at their disposal at this moment in time. 20 seconds remaining. Maloney will get one more lap underneath him, as will Jack Boyd, as will Michael Barron at the moment. Robin Kirk will get over the line with 10 seconds to spare. Kobe Jones is done in terms of his times at the moment. Adam Briggs will get over with 2, with 1, and he just gets over the line. He'll get one more attempt to go over. So drivers now searching for the last lap. Madison Down, no improvement, has to come down to the lane. What about Richard Hampstead though? Car 28 through the final corner. Needs to find something. He's going to make the push to the line. He's on a 108 flat. He needs a 1/10 of a second. If he's got anything left, it's now Hampstead over the line. 108.1. It's not enough. Not enough at all coming over the line. Luke Pink trying to drag Jordan Caruso about then for this final lap as well. Caruso, remember, is in 4th position overall. Caruso an 8.2 and Pink an 8.3. No improvements from those. Hobbo in the fence, and he'll need more than a band-aid after that. Catching the grass on the exit, trying to push for the line, and ultimately around when he needed to find the time the most. No improvement for Boyd. No improvement there for Michael Barron or Maloney as well. So that's some very, very crucial times coming to get themselves through. Kirk won't find it. What about Briggs? Sam Sutton has jumped up to the top 10 late there in the number 12 car. But here comes Briggs, the final car over the line, and does a 108.359 to improve to 22nd position. So the grid will line up like this from the opening split. Forzan El Nabi has controversially taken pole position after contact with Chris Coxhead, with Madison Down alongside him. It'll be Richard Hampstead starting 3rd and Jordan Caruso in 4th. Harley Haber goes 5th and Brad Ryan will start from 6th position. Ethan Warren is surprisingly the first of the Logitech G Altus Esports cars in 7th position, with Danny Davison, a great qualifying for him. He gets 8th place. Andrew Gilliam, surprisingly a little down the order there in 9th place, but no slouch. And it was a tie on times for 10th. Sam Sutton on the tens of thousands, getting himself ahead into that 10th place.
And it's not the start that Dane Warren will be wanting from this 11th place start for the Altus Esports man. Luke Pink, though, is going to line up alongside him in 12th for his first Scops start. Excellent job there from Luke for Evolution Racing Team. Lee Ellis starting lucky 13th, but he's got a teammate for company in the former Jake Maloney. James Scott, the championship leader overall without drop rounds, currently starting in 15th with Jack Boyd alongside him. Wayne Burke starting to fall back a bit. He was fighting up in that top 5 in the championship standings, only starting 17th alongside Thomas Hins. Rounding out the top 20, Kurt Stenberg and Bradley Ratu.
21st position then will go to Philip Worley, and there will be Adam Briggs alongside in car number 72 in 22nd place. Michael Barron, though, he starts 23rd, with 24th being Sean Lindsell, and it's an all ANZ Motorsports 13th row, with Ben Christensen ahead of Kobe Jones, with Justin Wallace 27th and Hobbo 88 in 28th after a big crash at the end of qualifying. Michael Taliancic starts 29th, and your Super Split 2 winner, Tyler Blackburn, will start from position number 30 on the grid.
Clint Smith in car number 4 is going to start from 31st alongside Robin Kirk. Tom Freer and Hugh Barter start alongside each other in 33rd and 34th. Chris Cox said not able to get a super competitive time in the first split. Had some issues early on, the incident with El Nabi as well. Sam Blacklock starting from 36th position. He'll be used to starting a bit higher than that. Kyle George and Kane Houston on row 19 in the field, rounded out by Corey Preston, Jamie McKnight, and Reese Keane for DPR Racing. 41 cars, my apologies. This is going to be a very intense one.
Absolutely, it will. This is 64 laps of racing. Expect 2 pit stops here today in this event. And for the moment, Forzan El Nabi is the driver at the front of the field. He'll be the yardstick here in this race, looking for his first wins since Sonoma. Madison Down, remember, yet to get a win this season, will so desperately want to put himself up at the top. Richard Hampstead looking to try and get himself a good result. But what about Caruso? What about Haber? What about the likes of those a little bit further down? The Gilliams, the Suttons, the Dane Warrens, the Luke Pink. They could find something today if things do not go their way. But expect this to be a very, very aggressive start today here in this race. 3 minutes will be put up on the clock. The lights will start to come on. The engine notes will start to rise for Holdens and Fords as they go on through. We're getting ready for Scops round 6 of the championship. It starts right now. Who's got the best launch? Forzan's got a good one. Madison slightly bogged down. It was great from Caruso. Immediately challenging Hampstead towards the 90 of turn number 1. They come along and on the brakes they go. It's all okay for the moment in the front few rows as there's Gilliam side by side with Ethan Warren as they go up the hill through the S's section for the first time. Contact there in the background there. That was Sam Sutton going at it with Dane Warren as they went on through. It's all fine for the moment though in the first 10 rows as they go up through. Look at the battling though going on for 4th place. Here comes Harley.
Here comes Harley indeed. Up the inside of Jordan Caruso. He's going to stick it in there under brakes. Caruso's going to try and hold on here. But Haber accelerating around the outside. He maintains the position. He's got the inside for the carousel. An excellent move, but it's not quite over yet. Got to wait for the mid-corner. Caruso can't pick up the throttle. And Haber is through into 4th place. Great move.
And look at how much time it's cost them already. 0.8 of a second gone as Brad Ryan starts to think about the move. Half defending as well from Ethan Warren, caught in Schrodinger's overtake as they now head towards the final corner. 1 lap of 64 then put in the books. And some brilliant racing. Forzan El Nabi is at the front of the field being chased and hounded by 2 Trans-Tasman cars, Madison Down and Richard Hampstead at the moment. Remember, this is a long race. Here's some side-by-side in the middle of the pack, though. Behind Wayne Burke, Thomas Hins under pressure. Here comes Jake Maloney looking, searching for the move. And behind that, there you can see Jack Boyd and Brad Ratu side-by-side as well. Noah's Ark racing up the hill.
Oh, absolutely love this. Maloney with a slight advantage over Hins on the entry. They run side by side again up to the exit. That's at over 240 kilometers an hour. Incredible speeds we've got here close to those walls. Seeing a car pop out behind. Kurt Stenberg looking for a move around the outside of Adam Briggs potentially, but nothing doing. Jack Boyd making contact with Bradley Ratu behind. Ratu is off.
Yeah, now that's going to allow Ben Christensen a chance, but he has to slot into line quickly because there's Sean Linsell there, and it's an Exto Gaming sandwich with ANZ Motorsports filling at this moment in time as they battle in the middle of the pack. It is so fraught with side-by-side, up and down the order here at the moment. It's all about placing yourself. Where do you put yourself in the best possible position to go and attack? Look at James Scott, though, for the moment. He's trying to get past Danny Davison, who runs wide through the final corner. Here comes the chance for the 088 machine on the 075 on the brakes into the 90. Lets on late, but gets in the mirrors only.
Yeah, well, that's all he's going to need for now. He just needs to let Davison know that he's there and know that he can get that move done if he needs to. Tucked up right under his rear wing, coming out through the S's, and it looks like Dane Warren is out of the race, Sperry. That's huge.
A massive, massive thing then for Dane Warren. He is out, and he was right at the back of the pack coming through then after that last section. I believe that he's had himself all sorts of issues, and Dane Warren is out and done. So that's big for him, and the drop round now means that he is at least 300 points off of what he needs over the course of this one. Looking at Thomas Hinds, the back of Thomas Hinds there in the Ratu car with Jack Boyd at the moment pushing through for 16th and 17th place at the moment. But look further in front to Brad Ryan for a second, because he has got brother Ethan pretty much sitting, waiting, looking to jump up to 6th place.
Yeah, it looks like Brad Ryan's become the proverbial cork in the bottle here. Out comes Ethan Warren to try a move at the 90. Can he get it done? Ryan lets him go through, gives him the space by the time they get to the apex. Good racing between those two. They have lost a lot of ground to Caruso and Haber up ahead, though, and this is what I was talking about before. This is how important the draft is. You need to have that line forward to the car in front if you want to get the move done in the draft. Currently, Ethan Warren too far back on Jordan Caruso to start making moves towards the top, but still holding on to a 6th place position for him, up one from where he started. It's good for Ethan.
Oh, it is good for Ethan. Jack Boyd again looking at Thomas Hinds, and this is where you get stuck. This is where you get bogged down. This is where you get frustrated. And when you get frustrated, that's where the mistakes come. And now drivers started to think about, okay, settle into a rhythm, maybe a strategy. Look to the inside at the penultimate corner, gets it all crossed up, going through. Mistake on the exit into Adam Briggs, and suddenly trying to pick a way through is Kurt Stenberg right now here, and he's not quite got it.
Helped out Hinsey there. He's got some breathing room over Boyd now, but Adam Briggs with a bit of front quarter damage now and facing some extra pressure from Stenberg and Ratu behind. Remember, Ratu recovering from an error on lap 1, getting involved in the tussle with the rest of the field. So now Stenberg right on the back of Adam Briggs, and Stenny is one of the veterans of this series as well. He knows this Watkins Glen Cup layout like the back of his hand, and he's had more experience racing around here than just about anyone, bar his teammates. He doesn't look for the inside, though. He shows that he has a wise head and pulls out of the move before disaster strikes.
Exactly, and that's the key. Wait for disaster and hope that it does not come and get you out on track. Some brilliant scrapping going on. Luke Pink under pressure right now. This is Wayne Burke in the 89, looking to try and pick up 13th place at the moment, being held by car number 13 at the moment, looking to go through the next right hand of the final corner out on circuit to pick up the run, and the run not quite there at the moment. It's a 3-car train at the moment with Jake Maloney there on the back. It's all about the waiting game here. You've got to set up your lap 1, maybe 2 laps in advance if you want to get a move sorted.
Yeah, exactly right. These lines that you take around the track change lap on lap, and depending on how close you are to another car, you have to completely change the way you approach certain sections of this track. Meanwhile, I'm thinking about Harley Haber drawing up to the back of these podium positions here, because remember, he's still got Jordan Caruso in tow coming through the bus stop, but it looks to me like they're starting to make some inroads on Hampstead up ahead. He's actually fallen back from down.
Exactly, Madsen down and Fortin and Arby are both in the 19 flats at the moment. It was a 9 flat to 9-2 for Richard Hampstead. Harley Haber 9-2. Jordan Caruso a 9-1 that time by, and it was a 9-1 behind for Ethan Warren as well. So it's the game of tenths at this moment in time as they're pushing through. Remember, Harley Haber is very aggressive on the strategy. He's got to be very cautious about the tyres as he goes through and tries to get himself moving forward. So we know that Harley Haber's got to chase, but we know that he's got to chase hard in the early stages. We see the back of the field having a very good scrap as we are just getting confirmation of a penalty coming through from the race stewards.
Yeah, it looks like we are, and I'm going to have a look to see who exactly that is for.
It looks like Kane Houston will be getting a drive-through penalty here, Reed.
Yeah, for an incident with Chris Coxhead on lap 2. Seeing that there was a racing incident determined between Robin Kirk and Hugh Barter as well, but race control washed their hands clean of that. Kane Houston, though, is going to have to take a tour through the pits. Oh, have a look at that. Bit of biffo at the bus stop. That's Bradley Ratu getting together with, I think that might be Blackburn.
That's Justin Wallace. It's his teammate there in the race on Oscar. So nice try there, Reese. But ultimately a 4-car train. Philip Worley is there just behind. And there's Sam Blacklock. And Kane Houston will have to come in for the drive-through penalty in just a moment's time. On the brakes, look at Blacklock dive from deep. And Philip Worley, well, you need the Hubble telescope to try and find that side by side going through the final corner. And ultimately Blacklock on the outside. Oh, contact between both of them. And they both skate out wide. Here comes Hugh Barter for ERT. And there's a position gained on the outcasts.
Yeah, Blacklock, I don't think too happy with that one. Using the sequential shifter on his setup, you'll see a bit of a difference between some drivers here. Some of them like to use the paddles on their wheels. Others like to go for full realism and use the sequential stick. Blacklock, one of those people. And he's going to have to go one-handed on the exit of this turn on the shift up into 6th. It's not been a good race for him to start things off. He has made gains from his 34th place starting position, but certainly not going to want to spend too much time back here in the lower of the top 20.
Exactly, that's the key. You want to start moving forward. You always want to beat your grid slot position. And if you can make moves, you've done the right thing over the course of racing. Look at Richard Hampstead, though, in 3rd position. Caught now by Harley Haber, but crucially, giving a buffer now to Madison to go out there to attack Forzan El Nabi. The gap when they cross the line, 9/10 of a second between Forzan and Madison. Madison's going to be out of draft range very soon if he's not too careful, with Forzan just doing enough at the moment in the 097 machine. But Haber's not got everything his own way right now in 4th position, because there is Jordan Caruso in 5th, trying to find a way through on lap 9 here of 64, hoping to try and find a way through. For the time being, though, he's stuck in the draft train, which is the worst place to be stuck because it feels so monotonous every time you go round.
Brenton Hobson making a tour through the pit lane there. One of our first, I think, regularly scheduled pit stops. But Harley Haber had a bit of a stalemate in the draft there. Wasn't able to get the run on Hampstead, and Caruso still very close. Got to think about Ethan Warren as well, who we ride on board with. He's starting to jet up to the back of Caruso here, coming into the penultimate turn. In terms of lap times, he is on fire. He's running 2/10 faster than these two.
Exactly, and that's key. Closing up to the back, and it's got to be picked off one at a time. Remember, Richard Hampstead is one of the toughest cookies to crack to try and get through as the 1-second barrier gets broken by Forzan El Nabi at the front of the field for United Esports at this moment in time. So that's going to be crucial in terms of the way that their race is going. We've also got this battle going on now for 11th and 12th. Danny Davison and James Scott. How long has James Scott been stuck behind Danny Davison as he heads up the hill, looking at the left, looking now for the next right to turn 4. This could be the chance where he gets the move done. Danny's got to go defensive here, and at the moment the 075 car just gives him a channel to dive for the inside and lifts off very early to allow James Scott through.
Yeah, I was almost afraid that Scott had gone too deep into the bus stop, but it looks like he's managed to pull it up. And finally, he has some clear road ahead of him. He's been staring at the back of Danny Davison's Mustang since pretty much the green flag. So now James Scott can start to work on damage limitation. That's a car off. That's Justin Wallace, who we saw battling before with Brad Ratu. He's gone off at the bus stop, and we'll get a replay thanks to our friends at Modem Simulation, see what happened to him. And it looks like an altercation with an Altus car, potentially.
Looks like Sam Blacklock trying to get through on the brakes, then into the right, left, and there you can see overlap going through, and that was clumsy, to say the least, moving through that section. Wallace out into the grass, and it was Sam Blacklock who ultimately drops himself a long way back down the order. He's now behind Reece Keane at the moment, fighting with Jamie McKnight and co at this moment in time. A far cry from, say, Motorsport 2 years ago, where he got a second place finish. He needs maybe a different focus, but right now his focus is maybe more on business and numbers in the, what will I say, the Lego movie strategy in terms of what he needs, instead of, say, his sim racing right now.
Yeah, of course, but still, Blacklock, I'm sure he'll dust himself off and continue on. He's seen an awful lot of success recently in areas outside of his racing, but yeah, that is a big shame there. Bringing a bit of a damper on Blacklock's night. Drive-through penalty for that incident. Race control were quick to make a decision on that one.
Yep, they certainly were. They saw it straight away, and they got themselves a pretty clear-cut case as they went on through. Ethan Warren, look how close he is to the back of Jordan Caruso right now, trying to pick up the move then for 5th position on the road. Altus, the team that left ERT a year and a half, 2 years ago, now against ERT again as they head up the hill. It's very much the two teams that seeded out of Evolution Racing Team, with United in front, trying to get to the team that very much was the founding father to those in front. So now through the chicane, look at the run out of the chicane Ethan Warren gets, but he gets no run for the carousel.
Oh, well, that's the thing, man. The gap between the carousel and the bus stop, it's long enough that you can certainly have a lunge, but not quite long enough to translate it into a meaningful run. What about here, though, at the penultimate turn? Through goes Ethan Warren, and that was a fairly decisive move there. Caruso giving him a little tap on the rear bumper for good measure, but the younger Warren is finally through into a top 5 position.
Remember, Ethan Warren is the first pole sitter in the new breed of Australian touring cars on the iRacing service when it came to SCOPS. It was some fantastic racing that went on there, and he didn't quite get the race victory, but the first pole position is something that will always be remembered. Look at Lee Ellis, though, for the moment, on the back of Sam Sutton. 9th and 10th they fight, 7 seconds off of the race lead right now, but up the hill they come along. Lee Ellis, just not enough of a run to attack Sam Sutton, who's really got the car working in the mid to high gears.
He certainly has. Sutton, definitely a very strong competitor here this afternoon, but got to give it to Lee as well. He's a driver that has competed in the series since its inception and has been a steadfast part of Trans-Tasman racing. He's had his best results here at Watkins Glen, and it looks like he's lining up for another one of those as he chases down Sutton. Meanwhile, Wayne Burke in 14th, catching up to the back of Lucky 13th. Luke Pink is starting to come under some pressure. This is a baptism of fire for his first round of SCOPS.
And there was a little bit of a mistake from Jake Maloney behind him as well, going through the bus stop. He pushed very hard on the exit. I wonder if he got a slow down penalty. It didn't seem that way as he went over Jack Boyd on the back. Thomas Hinds trying to stay in reach at the moment with this group going on. And actually, you have to say this is close here, because look at this. Lee Ellis got a great run through the 90 there, almost got side by side coming up the hill, but again, has to check the run slightly as he goes on through. Next left-hander comes up into the offing, and then all of a sudden there's those vortices that come into play. Not many, but enough, where he can't quite pick it up, heading towards the bus stop. He thinks about it, he closes right up to the back, but again, Sam Sutton holds.
Good battle between these two, and Lee showing his experienced head with not going for the banzai move up at the bus stop. We've seen quite a few incidents at that corner over the years, drivers misjudging overtaking moves or just going way too hard into the corner. But Lee, like I said, like Stenny, like Madison, like everyone at Trans-Tasman Racing, he knows his way around this place for sure.
He absolutely does. Lap 15 starts then here at Watkins Glen of 64. At the end of the next lap, we are 1/4 distance through this race already, and it is a gap of 2 seconds right now for Forzan over Madison Down at this moment in time. And lap traffic now will become a factor, because there is Kobe Jones 1 lap down right in front of Hampstead and Haber, who's now looking backwards. The tyres starting to fall away here over the course of this stint. The track temp now up to 27 degrees, and there is an Ethan Warren.
Yes, indeed. Ethan Warren creeping up to the back of Harley Haber here, passing Jordan Caruso earlier on. So Warren, I reckon, looking excellent for a potential top 4 here. The lapped car of Kobe Jones lets them go through the carousel. But Hampstead has gotten some nice breathing room over these last few laps. Haber starting to fall off. That's the thing we've seen with Harley Haber. You know, he certainly has the talent, he certainly has the speed, but when it comes to looking after the tyres, as he almost spins on the exit of the penultimate corner, Haber is a bit more lacking than some of the other drivers in this championship. You can count on him for excellent lap times, but later on in the stint he struggles.
Yeah, you can very much say he's like the Cookie Monster with tyres, and that much you can certainly say at this moment in time. Look, though, for the group behind, though. That's going to be the key to strategy here today. Those drivers who are staying quiet haven't really done much in this race. Brad Ryan and Andrew Gilliam, they are playing the strategy card, you'd feel, to leapfrog all of these drivers in front. Expect them to come down, make the right call on the stop, and maybe gain a couple of positions. That's what they're banking on, just staying in the draft, saving the fuel, saving the tyres, making sure that it works for them as and when they need to stop.
Yeah, there's two ways you can approach Watkins, Glen. You can either go hell for leather and play the draft game as much as you possibly can, get your nose in other people's business, and that is how you win some races in this championship. But sometimes it is better to just hang back and stay out of trouble, because we do know the potential for high-speed crashes here. We do know the potential for safety cars, and that could benefit people like that later on as Brad Ryan decides, nope, I'm going to go for my stop now.
Oh, it's a big bold call then from Brad Ryan. He is one of the first to come in here on the end of lap 16 then for his stop. So this is key for Brad Ryan. The bit of cloud cover comes over the track, and ultimately he will descend for his box. He'll look for the sixth to last one, and it's tough to hit the boxes, especially for those at the front, because for those front two, they've got tarmac. Those on backwards, they've got concrete down the hill. That's a lot more different of a braking property.
It absolutely is. Something that you don't always consider when you're pitting around a track like this. Watkins Glen, this the scan that iRacing uses here dates back to 2009 or thereabouts, so there is still a lot of bumps around this circuit, a lot of surface changes that drivers have to contend with. Just increases the challenge. Harley Haber once again battling the rear end of his car on the exit of the final turn, and it looks like he is going to try and go longer as well, continuing to stay out along with the rest of our leaders.
Well, this is something really telling right now. Forza El Nabi, who was only in the early stages pulling out a tenth at a time, is now pulling out 3/10 at a time to Madison down. He's got nothing at the moment in terms of this race, and ultimately may just have to rely on the safety car coming out potentially as drivers start to come out of the pits, like Michael Taliancic, for example, right in front of Jake Maloney, and also Jack Boyd having their scrap right now. So that will really check Maloney up, as he will have to try and find a way through. Boyd closes up to 2/10. Taliancic will have to move over to one side to let him go through, but you can see just how much Jack Boyd closes up, needs to follow at the same time, doesn't. An opportunity, well, it's gone away.
Yeah, he's going to have to work for a couple more laps to get that one. Poor Taliancic, right in the middle of this very hectic section of the circuit with cars all around him. But looks like it's given the advantage to Maloney for now. James Scott, meanwhile, has just come into the pits. He's taken his stop. He comes out in... Where is he on my timing? It comes in 34th position with a 22.2 second stop. So that's fairly typical with what we would expect. Brad Ryan's stop of 21.1 seconds.
Lee Ellis and Danny Davison dive down onto pit road then, as well as Thomas Hinds also. Sean Linsdale decides it's his time to make a stop then, as we are fully into the first pit stop window, as drivers will be getting the tyres, they'll be getting the fuel, and they'll be getting back out and going again. Expect this to be a shorter stint for those who are trying to get things going in the early stages, and they'll look for longer stints later on in this race. This is only a very early stop for them. They'll be maybe looking at going maybe 1/3 distance on the tyres for a scheduled stop.
Yeah, looks like it. There's a lot of strategy avenues that can be exploited in a race like this? Do you go for that long initial stint and then 2 short ones to the end? Do you go for 2 medium-length stints and a short one at the end? How do you split it? That is the question. It all depends on where you are in the field and how confident you are in your car's setup. Meanwhile, Danny Davison has come out of the pits, so has Lee Ellis, and Davison has managed to gain quite a bit of time on Ellis. In terms of the stop, 18.9 for Davison and 22.7 for Lee Ellis. So seeing the likes of Davison and Barron going for short initial fuel stints.
Yeah, that's key. The likes of Wayne Burke has come down in and made a stop as well. Moving forward, who's on the lane now? Reese Keane has decided to dive down end as we got some brilliant racing going on for you right now. Adam Briggs, another one who's decided to make the stop. Look at Ethan Warren, though, for the moment. All over the back of Harley Haber. That Mustang does not look pretty compared to the 2 Holdens behind in terms of those tyres, and very much is holding on to everything possible here in this race in 4th place. Now remember, all of these drivers are going to fall behind Brad Ryan because he is undercutting absolutely everyone. That's the only concern that these drivers will be having at the moment. Where will they come out in comparison? They will know they will chase down Brad Ryan the longer things go on, but for the time being, they all stay out another lap through, and Harley Haber now suddenly put into the clutches of one Ethan Warren. He'll dive for the inside here at turn number 1. There'll be traffic on pit exit as well, and the move done. Here comes Caruso.
Yeah, Haber with a bit of oversteer on the entry into the 90. Really starting to feel the pain of those tyres. He's looking pretty calm, though, in the middle of the Ethan Warren, Jordan Caruso sandwich coming down the back stretch. Could he potentially come back at Ethan Warren here? No, not quite far up enough. Starting to feel the pressure from Jordan Caruso, though. But with Haber losing this position, maybe this is his signal to him that he needs to come in.
Oh, the traffic not being helpful for Ethan Warren there. That's Reese Keane, who's just come out of the pit. But that's not going to be helpful. That's not going to be ideal at the moment as they drive on forward here in this race. Finally moves over to one side, though it hasn't cost too much in terms of time for those drivers at the moment. So a big shuffled up field right now. We've got battles going on a little bit further down the order here. You've got Scott and Hobson and also Danny Davison as well out there on track. So they are going to be all fighting pretty closely together. Remember that Hobson was one of the very first to come down in. He's the fact, I've just bit my tongue. The fact that he's gone through on the likes of James Scott right now pretty much shows you how well the undercuts worked for Hobbo.
Yeah, Hobbo with the quickest pit stop out of anyone at 12 seconds. So going for a short middle stint, that's the crucial part. Unfortunately, has to let James Scott go there.
Oh, Haber's lost a plate.
Oh, he has
Look
too.
at this. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. It was almost a look to the inside, the extreme inside from Andrew Gilliam. Thinks better of it. Harley Haber's lost a place to Jordan Caruso.
Oh, look at
out on track. Replay on screen. Look at that. Absolutely magnificent.
Great racing between those two. Tiny bit of contact, but not enough to put either of them in the wall. So Harley Haber now really starting to slip back. He'll have to try and make this strategy work from here. But point being, Brenton Hobson as well as looks like Tom Freer with a very short stop as well. We can expect those guys to have long final stints. In comes Andrew Gilliam.
Right time, lap 22. This is right on the window of even stinted 2-stop strategy. So coming down in now, getting 3 equal stints to get it going, and it's going to be a 22, maybe a couple of 21s to get yourself over. That's going to be prime. So Andrew Gilliam looks for his box, hits it nice and neat, nice and early. Will be up on the tyres and back down again. Expect a couple of drivers, though, to push on through, one of whom is Brad Ryan right now, who's coming through the final corner out on circuit. Kane Hewson will dive down onto the lane. How far ahead will Brad Ryan be of this group? They were 8 seconds off of the race lead right now. Gilliam still waiting, and now you count 1, 2, 3, still going. Long stop for Andrew Gilliam, finally gets going. That's to the tune of about 7-8 seconds. This could be close at the front.
Yeah, it certainly could, and watch out for Gilliam in the final stint, because that tells me he's going to go for a very short final stint with the long fill in the middle stint of the race. So Gilliam is going to hunker down for a bit and stay quiet, but look out for him towards the end. But we have got a great battle for the lead developing now.
Absolutely we are, and it's all coming undone through strategy. Look at Luke Pink, though. Look at who's behind, trying to find a way through. It's lap traffic of Sam Blacklock. That won't be helpful for the young man as they go through. One car comes out of the pits right now, and it's Team Hyperdrive's Kane Hewson, who will slot back into line right with Kobe Jones and Robin Kirk. So that's going to be interesting up the hill between those drivers right now here, Reese. The stops really are shaking a whole lot of everything up at the moment.
Yeah, have a look at Kane Hewson trying to find his way here through on Kobe Jones and Robin Kirk behind these guys, battling for position are Kobe and Robin. So we see right there one of the things that the pit stop can cause at Watkins Glen is that choke point coming into the S's. Have a look at Wayne Burke here having to go to the outside as James Scott fights his way through. James Scott is having an awful lot of adventures at the moment.
Absolutely, he is right now, as well as Corey Preston as well, having a few issues. Here comes a little look on the 075 car right now on the brakes. Move, scored complete, then good overtake by James Scott. Needed to get that one done at the chicane and did so at the bus stop without too many worries at all. So able to keep going at the moment with a nice clean run through. Andrew Gilliam picks up the move on Michael Barron without any issues at all. And now you are seeing drivers who have pitted race against drivers who have not. So Danny Davison again getting overtaken, but crucially has some draft to work with, can save a bit more when it comes to the fuel numbers.
Yeah, and that's going to pay dividends for him towards the end of this race, and as well for Lee Ellis, who is trying to find his way through on Brenton Hobson here. This is for the last position in the top 20. Ellis firing the nose down the inside at the 90, and Hobbo with a bit of trouble there on the marbles, having to gather it up. It looks like Lee Ellis has done just enough to get ahead here. So Hobbo having to slot back in as they go up the hill. Have a look at how much he fights the wheel still.
Yeah, on Band-Aid cam as well as he went up through the hill. Not much he could do about that one then as he went on forward. Still, El Nabi stays out and outstays Madison down, and Richard Hampstead on lap 26 with Ethan Warren, Jordan Caruso, Harley Haber, but Sam Sutton in the number 12 hits the lane then from what was 7th position at the time. Gonna try and get his stop working. Remember, he's pitted about 4 laps behind one Andrew Gilliam, so that's going to be a little bit of a battle where we're going to see Luke Pink also dives down onto the lane.
And Tyler Blackburn just had a big scare there as Jamie McKnight made his entry into the pits, having to take avoiding action at the apex of the final turn. I warned about that in the fact file, and that is where you see it. Meanwhile, Danny Davison and his teammate, rather, Sean Linsell, down in 25th, has not come down onto the lane, and Tom Freer looking to defend here. Freer carrying a slight bit of damage as well, as Stenberg goes right onto the back there of Linsell.
Long stop from Sam Sutton. He's now behind Luke Pink, and he is a fair margin behind the likes of Andrew Gilliam and co. So that maybe did not work to strategy at this moment in time. In comes Jamie McKnight to make his stop. He'll come out and away very soon, but the gap at the front of the field now, 4.3 seconds in favour of Forzan El Nabi, and Madsen Down finding some good rhythm once again to bring himself back into the battle. Keep an eye on Ethan Warren though, because Jordan Caruso is keeping him very honest.
Absolutely is. Ethan Warren up into 4th now and firing his way down the back stretch as the battle between Davison and Burke continues for 14th and 15th. Ethan is starting to show a couple of signs of oversteer in his machine. Jordan Caruso looking to take advantage of that. Caruso's run out of the pits has been nothing short of spectacular, in my opinion. He's got a run on Ethan Warren now coming down the stretch towards the penultimate turn.
But is he in a position to try and get it? That's the next question that has to be asked. At the moment, it's no, as they stay out for another lap through onto their 28th of the stint. Harley Haber just behind has managed to have the tyres cure on him just for the moment as he sits and waits patiently right now. Only a handful of drivers have yet to come in and make a stop. I count 11 at the moment, and the likes of Kyle George, for example, Tyler Blackburn, Chris Coxhead and Hugh Barter right now, 8th and 9th, yet to come down here and make their stops. They're going for the long stints here today and hoping that that's going to pay dividends. But there is an issue. This track's going to get hotter and hotter the longer this race goes on, which means that those tyres which are old will continue to wear away quicker.
Yes, well, if you've used the majority of a set of tyres in a long stint at the start of the race, then that means the next two sets of tyres you put on are going to have a bit of an easier time of it. So it may all just equal out at the very end. We don't know, but have a look at Jordan Caruso. He's still chasing down Ethan Warren right on the bumper into the penultimate corner. And Ethan not quite bringing it over to the left as quickly for the final turn, and a bit of oversteer as well on the exit. He's really starting to struggle and fall under pressure.
Two boats of correction heading through the final corner for Ethan Warren, and Jordan Caruso's coming back late in the stint. Remember, ERT cars are traditionally great on fuel, and more importantly than that, Reese, they are great late in stints.
Exactly right. It's something the team has made a name for itself in over the years, and Caruso, being a newer signing, he's not quite gotten into the stereotype just yet, but we do know from history that ERT is a master at those things. Here's a replay of Chris Coxhead on the back of one of the ERT machines and going a little too deep into the penultimate corner. Nice recovery, though. A little bit of a scare for the race on Oscar behind.
For 8th, 9th and 10th position on the road, so that has cost him a couple places. To Tyler Blackburn, to Hugh Barter, he was trying to have a little bit of a friendly battle with out on track, but it did not work for them at that stage of time. Still no takers from these drivers. They're really trying to stretch this out, and you have to remember here, lap 32 in this event is the halfway stage. I wonder if this is a one-stop versus two-stop race, and I reckon that the likes of Forza El Nabi here is going to go for the one-stop strategy.
Well, I would be very impressed if he could pull that off, because to my knowledge, 2 pit stops are mandatory in these 250-kilometer events, so he's going to have to
find... That's a one-lap stop at the end.
Well, yeah, it could be, but I don't know if there's something in the rulebook preventing that. Either way, we're going to see a surprise there from Forza El Nabi, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and it's all of these drivers. It includes Down and Hampstead and Warren and Caruso and Haber and Maloney as well involved in that. Not Chris Coxhead, though. He's come down in. He's made his stop right now out on track, so he'll be dropping miles back down the order in terms of this race. And there's a car off. It's Kane Hewson down in the gravel at the chicane. It looked like it happened all on his own. We'll try and get a motor replay. No, it wasn't. He had contact with Talyancic.
Oh, yeah, he did too, and that was a move around the outside for Talyancic. Actually, Hewson having the run here as we go to the replay. Talyancic goes in on him, and they both come together on the entry to the bus stop. It's difficult to tell who had overlap at that stage. I don't know if I could call a person truly at fault for that one. Let's have a look at it from the aerial view then. What is Hewson going to do here on the entry? Well, he was ahead of Talyancic at the turning point, but Talyancic gained on him around the outside.
Well, that was key. Of course, that gain really made everything. So Talyancic getting the move done absolutely perfectly out on track. Forza El Nabi, though, leading, but he's dropped a whole second over the last few laps or so. He did a 1:10.8 that last time by, having to struggle with traffic like Philip Worley. So Forza El Nabi started to be reeled in a little bit then over the course of that, and he's got 2 cars of traffic in front, so he decides race leader in on the lane at the end of lap 31. Madison Down will now take the lead here onto the halfway lap of lap 32. Hampstead stays out, so does Warren, so does Caruso, so does Harley Haber. Big call from Forzan. He's going to go to the final part of the lane.
He certainly is. Well, keep an eye on Forzan for sure in the second half of this race. Meanwhile, Luke Pink and Sam Sutton battling for 16th and 17th. Sutton is a driver that has not had the best run tonight with that long pit stop. We don't know what he knows inside the cockpit, though. He may have a couple of aces up his sleeve in the final 10 or so laps of this one and making his way past Luke Pink for good measure. So Sutton's still having some pace. Lee Ellis making a mistake just up ahead, just caught the grass on the curb, and it looks like they're going to come right up to the back of him on the front stretch. Car coming into the pits behind. Brenton Hobson coming in for his second stop. So it looks like Hobbo is going for a very long final stint.
Look at where Forzan's come out. He is side by side with Danny Davison, and they're going to be close. It's almost contact between the two. Look how much time he's lost by taking that long opening stint. The likes of Brad Ryan has absolutely monstered in front, and now on the fresh tyres, Forzan has got to get the position quickly down to the inside. Likes of Hampstead down in on the lane, but Forzan El Nabi around the outside dispatches of Danny Davison, but it was a lot tougher than he thought it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Round the outside of the bus stop, not how you optimally want to do a move. And look at this. Everyone else responding now to Forzan El Nabi. Madison down, stays out.
Ethan missed his box. Ethan missed his box. He was slightly too far forward, and it took him a while to notice.
Oh, no. That's really going to hurt him there. Madison down. With the longest stint out of everyone. Is this going to benefit him? We've already seen how the long first stint was not good for Forzan El Nabi. I feel like the entirety of the top six is going to come out at a disadvantage from this.
Well, there is Forzan El Nabi right now, and that's crucial. Look at how Richard Hampstead's fueled his car. He's ahead by a huge margin.
Wow. So yeah, Richard Hampstead stamping his authority on the middle stage of the race here. That's something that could certainly pay off well for him later on. Fourth place on track at the moment. And have a look at Forzan El Nabi. He's going to be making his way past James Scott now, coming into the bus stop, making up more and more positions as time goes on. But I can already... Oh yes, indeed he does. So here we go.
He's followed by Jordan Caruso, but Maloney is staying out for a 34th lap of the race. He loves to go long, does Maloney, it seems, and he will be going the longest of anybody when it comes to the stop. So it seems at the moment, Madison down, Jordan Caruso, these two drivers are worth keeping an eye out on to see where they fall out in comparison to the rest of the field. If everything shuffles out the way I think it does, Brad Ryan has got the lead by only a handful of seconds right now, with Forzan desperately trying to chase him down, but we know that he is due a stop at the moment. Is Brad Ryan? He goes through, Forzan goes through. Where is Madison down? Remember, Hampstead leads. Madison is right in front of him as he's actually just come out of the stop. So Madison and Hampstead, 1 and 2 on the strategy with the fuel, and they'll have one more stop to go, and this is crucial. Trans-Tasman 1-2.
Well done by Trans-Tasman to coordinate that strategy, bringing Down in at exactly the right time. This means that Down and Hampstead can now draft together. They are in their own little bit of racetrack away from everyone else. They can use this to control the race from here.
Absolutely they can. Ethan Warren looking for a way through on Tom Freer, trying to get the position, has to sit in line, and that's costing him in terms of his strategy. A lot of drivers pitted early, a lot of drivers looking to go long. Big slide behind by Jack Boyd as well. Every single position now becomes a huge point of contention as drivers are coming in, looking for maybe their second stop at the moment out on track. So how does everyone look right now? Jake Maloney is on a 35th lap right now here in this race in car number 29. He's going to have a very short final stint to end this race, but a net on the road. It's Madison down from Richard Hampstead, then it's Brad Ryan, but look at this, only for how long? Because there's Forzan El Nabi, and this should be a piece of cake. What cake? Take your flavour.
Yeah, can I get chocolate, please? I'd like a chocolate mud cake. El Nabi looking for the wedding cake, though. Doesn't want to be a bridesmaid. Trying to come up with analogies here as he goes for the move on Brad Ryan down the straight, and that is a big lunge down the inside. Ryan lifting off. He knows that El Nabi is on an absolute charge right now and on a completely different strategy.
Well, this is how the field looks. It will be down Hampstead El Nabi, Ryan Scott Davison, and then Burke Gilliam Sutton with Luke Pink in the top 10, depending, of course, very crucially, on when Jake Maloney dives down onto the lane. And get this, he's going again for a 36th lap. How much pixie dust is in that vehicle? Because he has to be driving on fumes at some point.
Yeah, I'm wondering how his tyres are going. Maloney obviously looking after those shoes very, very well to keep up the pace that he has. He's been setting 109s for the majority of the race so far.
Gilliam.
He's actually managed to keep up some good pace. What about Gilliam?
Down the inside of Sam Sutton even to make the move. So Andrew Gilliam jumped the place and he gets himself up to 9th position. Sorry, that was Wayne Burke even there. I got myself a little bit confused. So up to 8th place now goes Andrew Gilliam, past both of the One Performance cars, 9th and 10th. And Sam Sutton, for example, has jumped the likes of Harley Haber out on track. So Harley's got work to do. And actually, that was key from Gilliam. He defended into the bus stop.
Yeah, he certainly did. Didn't look too confident coming into there. Oh yes, Maloney, here we go. So this is going to be 2 very short final stints from Maloney. There are his teammates down in Hampstead. Maloney pulls it into the lane nicely. Have a look at Harley Haber on Sam Sutton coming here into the penultimate turn. This is a move for the top 10 for Haber, and he is through on those fresher tyres. Or is he? Sutton trying to come back at him.
That was a little chop across the nose slightly. Sutton had to hit the brakes and Harley Haber got the move done. Where does Maloney come out in comparison? He's still on the lane and he gets himself going right now and knows exactly what he needs. He just needs to get himself going. Now, with the fact that these drivers have gone out and done such long opening stints, in theory, with their stop here, Reese, they can effectively just pull up into their box, not change anything, and just go again.
Potentially. It depends on the fuel situation, though. If you manage to save a lot in the draft behind someone, then it's definitely potential that you wouldn't have to take fuel at the stop. But for the likes of Madison Down up the front, he's had to drive all of this race pretty much without a draft. He won't have that luxury.
Well, he certainly won't, but he did go over half distance on the tank, so that's going to be a case. I think he's still going to have to fuel something up, but what he'll have to fuel up, I do not know. Forzan El Nabi, though, this could be something key. Look at the gap. It's about 7 seconds at the moment, and remember, Forzan is on much older tyres compared to Down and Hampstead.
Yeah, he is one of the first of our front runners to pit. And he's going to start falling off around the lap 45, lap 50 territory. So El Nabi, it might have benefited him in the short run before everyone else pitted, but it's definitely not looking good in this middle stint of the race. Still a chance he could come back at the end, though, with a short stop.
And here's one of the best things about this race so far, Reese. There's only been 2 retirements, those being Dane Warren and Justin Wallace.
Yeah, and I said that a high-speed crash in a safety car was a certainty. Well, don't I look like an idiot now? Just half past race distance. Still got some time to go though, so touch wood. It has been an excellent turnout for this event, and nowhere near as attrition as I thought there would.
Well, it's all going to be closed as at the moment everybody is trying to get themselves into a nice place to try and run this one moving forward. It's a good gap at the front. Madison Down and Richard Hampstead working hard at the moment, but look at the times. 109.1, 109.2. You look back to Forzan El Nabi, a 109.3 on his tyres, so he's using them up a lot more, and it's worth noting as well what the track temp's done. It's now up to 30 degrees, as in-sim time is about 20 to 10 in the morning.
Yeah, the track temp's steadily rising, and getting some extra clarification on the pit stops. The pit window ends at the end of lap 62, so there isn't going to be a sneaky final lap pit stop from anyone. They have to come in at least 2 laps from the end. Sutton and Caruso, meanwhile, battling. Sutton has just lost out to Harley Haber, who's jetting away ahead, and Jordan Caruso looking very good on these tyres. It's going to be a move.
Trying to deal with a bit of lap traffic in front as well. Remember, Kyle George there is going to fall a lap down in the Team Hyperdrive car, and this is going to be a case of use the traffic as a pick down the inside. Did you see that one coming, Sam Sutton? Caruso puts one on the veteran.
Wow, excellent stuff from Jordan Caruso. Move is now completed. He's going to move himself up into 10th place. Sam Sutton, unfortunately, starting to fall off the wagon slightly. His tyres are now past their best.
Yeah, they are past their best. He will be looking towards a second stop soon. We're on lap 40 of 64. 25 laps to go in the 2 Ezy Finance. Watkins Glen 250 here today. And there's some drivers having a very good run of things. In terms of big movers, James Scott up 10 places. Wayne Burke up 10 places. Michael Barron up 9 places. They've all had some brilliant races so far today.
They certainly have. Watkins Glen always springs up some potential for drivers further back in the field to vault themselves forward and get a surprise result and a good haul of championship points. Andrew Gilliam has just come out of the pits for his second stop of the night, and for him, currently down the order, looks like a reasonable stop from him towards the end.
Yep, that puts him behind Hugh Barter, so that's position 26 on the road. He is only 40 seconds off the pace at the moment, so he's got work to do.
Oh, that was a scary
lot of people
moment
in,
there.
Davison and Scott and Burke.
Yeah, nearly coming together as well. Modem replay of this from Danny Davison's perspective. Watch what happens here. Coming down into the pits. Goodness me, hard on the brakes and nearly going into the back of the Altus car ahead.
Very nearly. We catch it on slow-mo as well. That was tight coming onto the lane. They can't afford for that to happen too often in terms of the way that they're trying to get themselves moving forward, but they've got to make sure that they keep on going on with this right now. Look at Maloney though. Remember, freshest tyres of anybody. Luke Pink just in front, but look how narrow Maloney's trying to take everything. He's trying to cut every corner.
Yeah, he is. Trying to use those tyres as little as possible. Doesn't want to stretch out the use too much. He's got the run on Pink now. Nice draft down this stretch and flashing the headlights from the exterior view. Up the inside he goes, and that move is done easy as you like. Maloney now up ahead.
Easy breezy in the way that that move was done. Maloney was never going to lose that place as they went on through. So now it's crucial to work out where Davison is and Scott and co compared to the likes of Andrew Gilliam, for example. When you look at where Gilliam is, he's down in 26th position right now. You look at where the likes of James Scott's going to fall back behind. They are behind on the road. So Gilliam has got the jump over James Scott and Wayne Burke and Danny Davison as well. So Gilliam now just needs to put the laps together and hope it all works out. In on the pits as well, Sean Linsdell to make his second stop.
And Thomas Hinst here in position 13, fighting away. Lee Ellis is the next car up ahead from him in the Trans-Tasman machine. And Hinsey, another one of those drivers that we're still waiting on to take that second stop. How far up ahead can Hinsey get if he nails that final stop? He started in 12th position, running one down from where he started. Actually, no, he's running 5 up from where he started, reading the wrong numbers. But Hinsey, a lot of potential coming into the final stint.
Exactly, that's going to be key. All about the stint, all about putting together the race result. And it's what all these drivers need. Likes of Madison Down, Richard Hampstead leading ahead of Forzen El Nabi there in 3rd position by a rate of about 8 seconds. The gap still it stays at this moment. Ryan there in 4th position on old tyres. Haber is 5th. Caruso is 6th. But we are heading towards that second stint cycle where drivers will be coming down as late as lap 62 today in this event. Look at Maloney. He's caught already onto the back of Sam Sutton, trying to find a way through. He dispatched Luke Pink without any issues at all. And Sam Sutton has got absolutely nothing in comparison. 6/10 over the last lap over a racetrack which really, only with 8 corners, you've got not many places to go and gain the time.
No, certainly not, but a lot of these corners are very fast and very long, so a lot of potential there. Making a slight error can cost you so much time. Maloney was tempted to go for the move there, but didn't quite. He knows that he has the tyre performance now over Sutton, but he's going to wait for a bit of a cleaner opportunity, like probably down here at turn 1.
Great run off for the exit, looking for the move as Brad Ryan dives down onto the lane for his second stop. On the brakes they go into turn one. Maloney, not enough of an overlap to get it done. Sutton was very, very strong. Former teammates at TTL Esports, the now defunct team, as they head themselves through the right, up through the left to turn number 3, comes along and over to the chicane once again of the bus stop. Now Maloney needs a storming run to get this one done. And is that an indication of I'm letting you go through here? On the brakes they go. That's early from Sam Sutton. No love lost.
Yeah, certainly. He's well aware by now of the pace difference that he has, and he knows it's going to be better for both his race and Maloney's if he just lets him go. There's still time to fight towards the end. Thomas Hinds, meanwhile, starting to catch up now to Lee Ellis, taking 3/10 out of him on the last lap. Hindsey's on a good run right now.
Absolutely, he is in 12th position, looking to gain up to 11th as they go through the left-hand corner of turn 7 out on track. You can really see how the marbles now are being dumped down on the outside of the circuit. You do not want to be out there on those marbles. They really do limit your grip, Reese.
Yeah, absolutely they do, especially when you're taking turns at high speeds like here at Watkins Glen. There's Sutton coming down onto the lane for his second stop. So it's going to be an even 20 or 19 lap stint to the end for Sam Sutton. El Nabi, meanwhile, haven't checked in with him in a while. He's currently on his lonesome on track, coming up to some traffic in the form of Bradley Ratu. But in terms of lap times, El Nabi has consistently been running mid-109s since he came out of the pits and in the final phase of this stint. We're waiting on him to come back down onto the lane.
Exactly, we are, as well as those in front. Look at behind Hampstead, though. This is Worley and Barron fighting for position. A lap down now into turn 1, almost getting it wrong there as they go on through. But crucially, look at Worley. He's able to just slip up behind Richard Hampstead, use him to break away from Michael Barron just for a little bit. If he feels he's quicker, he's good, but he misses the apex by a country and a half, and the country was Russia. It was so wide he missed it. Here comes Michael Barron, and at the moment he says, land is mine, down the inside. Has he got the position sorted? Side by side, they'll stay just about.
Right before the second apex was when Michael Barron secured that one. Excellent run from both of those guys, but Philip Worley showing how important it is to get your turn in right for turn 2. There is Hindsey on the lane as well as Boyd.
Exactly, both of them coming down in, looking to make their stops then, and they both come out identically at the same time. So Jack Boyd ahead of Thomas Hinds, looking to go through there. Going past them is Jamie McKnight, who they fall behind at the moment out on track. They'll come out just ahead of Adam Briggs-Reese.
Yep, just ahead, but that's a position down in the field where things aren't as great for Briggs down in 20th position. But Hindsey and Boyd, looks like Jack made a much better run through the pits than Hindsey did, thus getting up ahead. Meanwhile, we're right on board with Haber, who is starting to come under pressure from the still advancing Jordan Caruso. Got a bit of traffic to contend with here, though, because Sam Blacklock has come out of the pits right next to him, forcing Haber wide in turn 2. And unfortunately, he's going to concertina them all together. So now Jordan Caruso having a huge run here. Blacklock is going to have to stay behind here. War, does he move around? Does he? No, Caruso is going to go for the move there on Blacklock, maintain the position versus Haber. That was quite an adventurous few corners.
Absolutely it was. There was also some multi-12 action as Sam Sutton jumped ahead of Wayne Burke for place. But Harley Haber there having to work hard to keep behind Traffic and Co. And look at this from Sam Blacklock. Is he pushing Jordan Caruso forward?
Looks like it. Blacklock just come out of the pits on super fresh tyres. He's going to have oodles of pace over all of these guys. So all he can do right now is just conserve them and stay behind. There's a TTR car coming into the pits. That's Maloney for his second stop.
Yeah, that certainly is. So Maloney very quickly, he was the furthest out there and he's going for a very quick second stop. So we'll see where Maloney will come out in all of this. Car number 29, he's going to wait for his marks, he's going to hit them, and he should be up and down without really too many worries. I think that's a tyre change there, being up on the jack, so there he will lose quite a little bit of time, looking to try and get that big push going there. You can see off and away immediately. There's Sam Sutton, there's Wayne Burke, and he will be ahead of Danny Davison surely in through the 90 turn 1, and he comfortably does.
Comfortably does indeed, and we continue to look
Because
at the
in
battle.
Madison.
Oh, yes, okay.
And Hampstead.
So TTR pitting together, and this is a strategy that I would say is good. Forzan responding. This is interesting.
Oh, it's a battle of pit crews as they go through. Harley Haber's got the world behind him at the moment. He'll stay out and take the overall race leaders. There's Sam Blacklock going by saying, I've had enough of being held up behind the race leader. I'm going to let everybody go through. So now it's all about who's got the best stop. Remember, El Nabi 8 seconds behind in margin. Those Trans-Tasman drivers will have fuel. This is where the race is made. Straight away goes Madison down. There goes Richard Hampstead, and Forzan El Nabi has nothing to do but sit and wait and know he only managed to half 8 seconds.
Well, that 4 seconds now that he'll have back to them, certainly doable to make it up in the final 14 laps of this race, but it's going to be a difficult ask for Forzan El Nabi. He'll be hoping for traffic or a safety car.
Both could be very, very applicable right now here in this field. They're all going to be out there on fresh rubber trying to attack this one from now to the end of this race, and it has been so long since we've seen a Trans-Tasman Racing victory, and on top of that, a Trans-Tasman Racing 1-2 finish has been even rarer. You have to talk about the dominant days, Reese, when they were absolutely on top of the world in 2018, since we last saw a 1-2 finish for Trans-Tasman.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice return to form for one of the most legendary teams in Australian sim racing if Madison and Richard can hold on to this. Ethan Warren bringing his Altus car in from the pit lane. And Madison down right there. You see that is the gap between himself and Hampstead, and there is El Nabi all the way back. Those guys are having no draft influence on each other at all.
Absolutely, and that's the key. You can see where Richard Hampstead is in comparison to Madison Down. He's back 3 seconds. Forzan El Nabi is back a further 4. So ultimately, he could not chase down Madison Down's gap. He got the gap from 8 seconds to 7 seconds only. That's 1 second. And Forzan, for all the pace he showed, pulling out a 4.5 second gap at the start of the race. I don't see him pulling this back, Reese, unless there's some drama that happens in the later stages.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either, but stranger things have happened in Scops. We take a look at Maloney and Burke racing together here.
In come the front two.
And, oh, absolutely they do. Harley Haber and Jordan Caruso. Remember, Caruso has been slowly drawing up to the back of Haber this whole time over the course of the middle stint. This could be where the decision is made as to how they're going to finish. Madison down there coming into turn 1. That shows you the advantage that the leaders have here.
Fastest lap of the race as seen on screen, 108.454 in heating up conditions. He's done well. There goes Harley Haber. It's a longer stop for Jordan Caruso. So where does Haber come out? He will come out behind Brad Ryan and with Sam Sutton. So he does well. Look at where Caruso comes out. He's behind Wayne Burke. So Caruso, a lot of work to do. He's dropped behind the likes of Jake Maloney as everybody of the leaders has come down in and made a stop.
Yeah, the field has been cleansed, as we like to say here. Sam Sutton with the run on Haber down the back stretch. Bit of a reduced run for Haber coming out of the pit lane, but Sutton staying behind for now. Haber, though, is going to have fresh tyres, and you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to use them.
He's got 14 laps, which will soon be 13, to go and use those tyres, all to his chagrin at this moment in time. So confirmation of how the field looks. After an hour, it is Madison Down leading by 4 seconds over Richard Hampstead. There's Forzan El Nabi. He's 2.5 seconds back, trying to push down the gap. But look at what Madison's got in front of him. 4 cars, Taliancic, Coxhead, Preston and Clint Shane Smith. all to get by at the moment. Gilliam is up to 4th. James Scott is 5th with Brad Ryan 6th. But there is Harley Haber in 7th, trying to chase them all down with Sam Sutton 8th. Maloney 9th and Wayne Burke in 10th. For how much longer, though? There's Jordan Caruso wanting in on a piece of the pie.
Yeah, Caruso with the fresher tyres once again. Burke came in a few laps before, so he's going to have a magnificent advantage up through the S's, and you can see it translating into a great draft down the back stretch. Wayne Burke lifting off early to let Jordan Caruso go there. So Caruso now back into the top 10. I am very impressed with the run that James Scott has had, though. Started 15th and up to 5th place. And Brad Ryan as well, to maintain that 6th place position with the alternate strategy, certainly commendable.
Absolutely. Look at Madison Down trying to deal with the traffic. Coxhead's going to try and come back down in on the inside and steal one away from Clint Shane Smith, who's been caught napping there. And that is how to Max Verstappen and overtake on lap traffic a la Monaco.
It looks like it, that run between those two. Madison Down going for the inside on Clint Smith into the 90, and Chris Coxhead taking the advantage beautifully right there. Madison is not done with the traffic, though, and is that smoke I see? That is a problem for an Exto gaming car. That's Bradley Ratu.
That could be a safety car. Is he trying to get himself going again? Is he just letting people go? I think he's just letting people go out on track. But if that is a case to be made where an incident's happened and he can't get himself going, that could be a safety car.
Oh, here we go. We're going to have to wait and see. The field is still coming by Ratu, and on the entry to the bus stop as well. That's right at the turn-in point for the chicane. Hopefully Ratu can get it going again, because a safety car would certainly spice things up here. He just doesn't have the space to get going.
He absolutely doesn't, but this is the next big question.
Here we go.
You've got to have to say that if you're waiting like he is a lap down, this is a danger to other drivers, and he's certainly not going. He's had all the time in the world to go. I think you've got to call it right now in this position.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Ratu's just started moving again, looking for... Oh, no, and he stopped, and now he's reversing, and he's gone off the track too.
You've got to call it.
Yeah, why has the safety car not been called yet?
Surely you've got to call it. It's been 2 laps at this point, and now that's going to be a big issue, and they're not going to call the safety car. They're going to let him go because he's off the circuit, and I think that is a poor decision by the stewards there to not call a safety car with a position of a car that was very clearly there, Reese, in a place which could have caused a massive pile-up.
Well, we can have our opinions, we can shout them as much as we like, but race control are the ones that make the decision at the end of the day, and, well, I guess it's going to be a matter for discussing after the race, but I do agree with you in principle. That should have been a safety car. Harley Haber, though, not hurt by it at all. He's going to try and go for the move here on James Scott, try and round the outside at the penultimate turn, making contact as well. He loses the run. James Scott now ahead of Harley Haber, and it seems like unless Haber can pull an ace out of his sleeve... Oh, don't try it, Harley. All the way over to the right-hand side of the circuit. That's the kind of Haber move we're used to. Oh, yep, there is a bump indeed. He's not done with this.
He's certainly not, and he'll try and get it up the hill then and try and get the run. Has he got exactly what he needs going through the left-hand corner? No, he doesn't just yet, but through the right, the run is slightly compromised, and he's stuck behind James Scott, the effective championship leader. If no drop rounds are applied, does he dive at the inside? Oh, you bet he does as he goes on through. Scott has to lift off and yield. Brad Ryan wants in on the action. He's not close enough.
Yeah, can't quite take advantage in the run between the bus stop and the carousel, but now right onto the bumper of James Scott, and Harley Haber has managed to gain a good amount of time through that section, with Scott being compromised as much as he was. So now he's definitely under pressure from the OPR of Brad Ryan.
Can I just point out, Forza Elnabi has brought a 7-second gap to Madison down to just 4.7 as he bumps Clint Shane Smith to the left-hand side.
Yeah, Forza Elnabi's run over these last few laps has been nothing short of spectacular, bringing the gap down nicely. Unfortunately, I did see his brake lights flickering just a little bit on the exit.
Something there as a message to Clint.
I don't know, maybe, but he's still ahead at the end of it, so it's going to be no harm, no foul between these two.
He's lost 2 seconds because of it, and
Yeah.
that will probably be the reason why he will feel that Clint Shane Smith has completely neutered his run, and he's now pretty much got no race victory. If anything needed to be Forzan's way, he's had 2 incidents in the space of 2 laps where he's felt that it's not gone right. Oh, look
Yeah.
at Maloney.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, Maloney right up the inside, trying to hold it versus Sam Sutton, but not successful. And
there's
look who's
Caruso.
joining the party. Caruso indeed, up the inside of Maloney into the penultimate corner. Oh, Maloney's trying to hold it around the outside. He's going to go for the inside move at the final turn. It looks like he's managed to get ahead, but it's probably going to be another over-under here from Jordan Caruso. Maloney goes completely defensive, running all the way over to the pit wall. He does not want to give this position up.
Absolutely not. On the brakes into the right. We're inside the final 10 laps, ladies and gentlemen. This is crunch time. Every position matters now at this place. And now Jordan Caruso wanting 9th place over Jake Maloney up the hill with Sam Sutton, Brad Ryan, James Scott just a hand away at this moment in time as they run up through looking for position upon position right now. And for the time being, it's not quite there as they hit the brakes into the bus stop.
Yeah, not quite once again, but it's certainly going to be an advantage for Sam Sutton. He has the breathing room over Maloney ever so briefly. Caruso starting to come over the crest of his tyre's usefulness as well. So he's only got limited opportunities to make this work. He tries again, but just not far up enough. I feel like he's wasting a couple of these opportunities. The tyres are not going to last much longer.
Exactly, and that's the key. It's all about the tyres and trying to get the moves done. It's also happening a little bit further down the field right now with Adam Briggs, Lee Ellis and Thomas Hinds right now. Hinds in 16th place has got to hold those 2 drivers behind in the final stages of this race. Every position right now matters because championship always has to be thought about in terms of these races, and it's all about points for every place in this championship race.
Yeah, every place counts, and you have to make sure you put a consistent run together. Drivers like Dane Warren will have a very hard season from this point on with no drop rounds left for drivers like them. But you have to keep the results consistent. Briggs almost tried to move on Thomas Hinds into the bus stop, but nothing doing for now.
Nothing doing right now at all, and they're running out of time because there's 6 laps to go when they cross, and it's already started for Madison down at this moment in time. Look at the run from Caruso down to the inside at the final corner. Maloney's going to try and take the long road around the outside and has got the run off for the exit as well. So now you've got to be brave again on the brakes here if you're going to get it. And look who's joining the party. Ethan Warren wants in on the brakes again into turn number 1. Has he got it checked up? Yes, Maloney opens the steering though, and he'll still hold himself an overlap.
Whoa!
Takes the with a huge slide and will lose both positions surely. Here comes Ethan Warren. He'll steal one as well. Or will he around the outside? Maloney's fighting back.
Oh, a little bit of contact left-hander, but they both managed to hold on to it. Very adventurous couple of corners for Maloney, and it was all because he ran wide at the penultimate turn. That gave the opportunity to Jordan Caruso as Ethan Warren has an adventure in the bus stop. He'll certainly not want a repeat of that.
He certainly will not, and he knows that every place matters, and we're right in on the crunch time now, and they know that all these positions, they matter. They matter a whole heap of a lot at this moment in time. And for Maloney, for Warren, for Caruso, they've all got to deal with it. Here's a Motum simulation replay of all of this. Look at that for full opposite lock, getting it all turned in. How do you save that? Just how?
Your name is Ethan Warren, that's how. What? I can't believe he managed to recover that. If that were me, it would have been into the opposite wall and out right away. Forzan El Nabi is coming up to traffic now. He's got a wingless Exto gaming machine up in front of him. That is Corey Preston. He's got Chris Coxhead as well in 31st. Preston and Coxhead are battling for position, but Richard Hamstead is tantalizingly close now to Forzan El Nabi. He's flashing the lights. He says, please, let me go, let me go. I would like to have a proper shot at this. So Preston lets him go, but still no dice with Coxhead. El Nabi is starting to fall into some trouble.
It's got to be half a second a lap now. 4 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. And Hampstead is being closed down by Forza El Nabi, who's now playing damage limitation with championship points with Madison Down, who missed the opening 2 rounds of the season, mind you, having only 1 drop round left in the pocket. The gap is 1.6 seconds at this moment. It's now 4/10 a lap needed by Forzan to get there. But in terms of getting there, he's got to get past. Here comes Caruso down the inside of Sam Sutton, and all contact as they go on through. Are they going to be all nice and dandy afterwards? Yes, they are. Caruso's got the place.
Yeah, well, as Forza El Nabi finds his way past Coxhead, we go to Caruso then, and he has just managed to get by Sam Sutton in the midst of that first turn kerfuffle. And it's a modem simulation replay once again of what went on down here. So Caruso having the draft down into turn 1. He goes for the move, entitled to it. They come to the turn-in point, and they actually make contact in the mid-corner, almost entering each other's cars. So Sutton pushed a little bit wide, but as far as I'm concerned, that move was pretty fair play.
Yeah, that was a good move by Caruso. Needed to get it done. It puts him now into 8th place here in this race. But Brad Ryan seemingly is a bridge too far at this moment for young Jordan with 3 laps to go going on in this race. Ethan Warren needs the place. Forza El Nabi has the gap down to 1.4 seconds right now, but he's not quite there in position. I think that's going to be potentially a redress there for a certain drivers. Look at this. Here comes Ethan Warren down the inside. Almost a mirror image move, but running around the outside, Sam Sutton doing just enough to hold on.
Put the throttle down nice and early through the tarmac runoff, which allowed him to maintain momentum and keep the position, but right on his bumper now is Ethan Warren. He loses a little bit in the draft, and there's Thomas Hens making his way past Lee Ellis in the number 18 car. So Ellis, after running well early on, he's been put back into position 18. Forza El Nabi, meanwhile, is in the draft of Richard Hampstead with 2 laps to go at the line. If he plays his cards right in the draft, he could get this. A side-by-side still between Thomas Hens and Lee Ellis. Ellis yields to Hinsey. But other than that,
you can see those are the battles out on track. It's all about putting yourself into best place with 2 to go. And Madison Down knows he's clear. His teammate behind is fighting. El Nabi is pushing every limit right now out on track. Reese, it might just be a bit too far. The gap is 1 second at the moment. Half a second a lap needed. And of course, Sam Sutton still fighting it out with Ethan Warren.
yes, indeed, and that fight between Lee Ellis and Thomas Hens is starting to get ugly. They've been making contact through the last couple of turns. Ellis has been almost fired into the pit wall there. Both he and Hinsey not above a bit of contact with each other as they fight out here for position 17 and 18. Ellis trying around the outside of turn 1. Oh, catches Hinsey's rear quarter, and that means he's going to have the inside run and the advantage coming up through the S's.
Brilliantly worked. Has he got it around the outside? Hinsey sticks the foot in trying to get the run, but Lee Ellis has got better, superior run. Little slide though as he goes through. That's not going to be ideal as they remain side by side at the moment. The last lap starts. Hampstead's got the gap he needs in second position at the moment as Madison Down has this. Lee Ellis and Thomas Hens, their battle ends up with Lee Ellis coming out on top in terms of that one. You look further back in terms of the battles in the field, and you can see the likes of Jordan Caruso just not close enough to Brad Ryan, Sam Sutton and Ethan Warren close together, but just not close enough at the moment, is it? On the brakes into the 90 of turn number 1, not quite, and there to the chicane comes Madison Down, knowing that his teammate behind has played the ultimate role here today and has done just enough to give that insurance policy that Trans-Tasman have been looking for such a very long time. It has been a while since Madison Down has found the top step of the podium, and with 2 corners to go, there were questions about the team. They hadn't brought anybody in a very long time. There's questions that the team were stagnant, but they are still the team that can very easily pick up win after win. Madison Down wins here at Watkins Glen.
And it's a 1-2 finish for Trans-Tasman Racing as Richard Hampstead crosses the line ahead of Forza El Nabi. It was only 6/10 of a second between them at the end. So if El Nabi had not had his issues earlier with traffic, we might see a bit of a different podium. Andrew Gilliam comes home in 4th. What a result for the pursuit driver from 9th place. Harley Haber finishing where he started in P5, and James Scott all the way up from 15th to 6th. What a run from him.
What a run indeed. The final corner comes along for certain drivers. Ellis and Hinz's battle over and done with. Lee Ellis wins that battle outright as Stenberg and Hobson. Well, that will be Stenberg dropping a place to Brenton Hobson on the final lap. So that will be a small shame in terms of the way that that race is going to end for them. Sean Linsdale also loses a place on the final lap of the race then, as the final few drivers will come over the line and official classified results will be up on your screen. Madison Down picks up his first win of the season at round 6. How often do you manage to say that? He wins in 1 hour and 15 minutes and 23 seconds by 3.8 come the end over Richard Hampstead in 2nd. Forzen El Nabi comes home with 3rd place after leading the opening proceedings and controversially taking pole position. Andrew Gilliam comes home in 4th, with Harley Haber exactly where he finished, a top 5, only his 3rd top 5 of the season after his results at Sonoma. James Scott, he gets 6th place after a great drive up through the field in the Altus car, with Brad Ryan a very underrated 7th place. Jordan Caruso comes home with 8th overall, with Sam Sutton 9th, holding off a hard-charging Ethan Warren.
Jake Maloney, with the longest first stint out of anyone in the field, manages to climb up from 14th to 11th. Wayne Burke advancing from 17th to 12th. Danny Davison had a slightly negative race, started in the top 10 but comes home lucky 13. Jack Boyd comes home 14th, and Luke Pink rounding out the top 15. Adam Briggs and Lee Ellis come home behind him. Lee Ellis just beating out Thomas Hinz for 17th. Hobson and Stenberg rounding out the top 20.
Michael Barron will take 21st, with Sean Linsdale there in 22nd for Exto Gaming, the esports outfit more than a sim racing outfit. Philip Worley gets 23rd, with Tyler Blackburn, your Super Split 2 winner. He gained 6 places to 24th. Hugh Barter there gets 25th. 26th would go to Ben Christensen on a quiet drive today, -1 position, and will be remembered for his facepalm after his qualifying lap. Tom Freer, another driver who had a quiet run, up 6 places, but nowhere near the place where he wanted to be. 27th only for him right now. Jamie McKnight and Sam Blacklock were the last finishers on the leading lap, with the first of the 1 lap down drivers belonging to Reese Keane.
The second of those belongs to the 208 of Chris Coxhead, who comes home in 31st. Corey Preston behind him, and Clint Shane Smith in 33rd. Robin Kirk, Michael Taliancic, Kobe Jones, and Kane Hewson are the final cars a lap down. Kyle George coming home 2 laps down, and our 3 retirements from this race. And how's that? Only 3 retirements at Watkins Glen. Bradley Ratu, Justin Wallace, and Dane Warren. Very unfortunate for all of those guys, but man, what a race that was.
It was a fantastic race. There's a lot of controversy. There's a lot to unpack in terms of how this race has all gone about. Some brilliant driving's gone on. We're going to step aside because the post-race show is coming to you, brought to you by SimSpeed TV, after this.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show under the world of outlaw.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Virtual Racing School V8SCOPS 2020 season. And after a big race result, it was one that was needed for Trans-Tasman Racing, a 1-2 finish, which they don't often find anymore, but one that they'll be incredibly happy to go and collect. Jake Sperry and Reece Gardner here in the commentary box. Alongside now, here is Madison Down, who picked up the race victory overall. Madison, that is what I would call vintage Madison Down. Played the strategy card to a T, and Trans-Tasman walk away with a 1-2. As team boss, you must be over the moon with this result.
Yeah, absolutely. Watkins has always been a great track for myself personally and also the team. But yeah, fantastic. We didn't really expect to win that one, but the way the strategy panned out was just spot on. I think Forzan made a bit of a mistake with fuel in that first stop, and we certainly didn't expect to come out where we did. But from there, it was just a situation where we managed it 1-2 and made sure that we wouldn't get jumped in that last stop. But great to get a 1-2 for Virtual Racing School and Bianti as well, the new guys on board.
Absolutely a great result for you and the sponsors as well. But let's talk about the middle of that race, because the strategy was first of all very important, but to know that you had your buffer behind you in the form of Richard Hampstead, surely that would have calmed a lot of nerves, if any, that were going on during that event.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing that you had a teammate behind you that wasn't going to lunge at you was pretty helpful. Obviously, we do race pretty hard, everyone in TTR, but at the same time, especially after that second stop, having him right behind me there, and he basically wasn't going to race me, he was just going to sit behind me. So, yeah, it was helpful to have him there. But from a strategy point of view, I was just trying to make sure that we controlled any track position loss, because it's so hard to pass in this car. So just made sure that we couldn't get jumped in the stops, basically, and from there, just everything else looked after itself. So it was a good night.
Everything looking after itself. A pretty decent break coming up before looking over at the next round of the championship, which turns up to be Interlagos. So a little break, a little time to kick back and relax. Surely now the gears are starting to come together. It's looking like it's going to stage up to be between yourself and Forzan El Nabi for the championship. So one round at a time for you at this stage with 2 drops used.
Yeah, look, we probably struggled a little bit with the car, and we're starting to get on top of it, but we're still a little bit inconsistent with our speed. Forzan was the fastest car tonight, so even though we got a race win, it was nice to play the strategy right and get the whole job done, but we probably lacked a little bit of race pace. So we've still got a little bit to go with setup and consistency from a pace point of view. But definitely this week was promising. You know, we had 4 cars in the top 10, I believe, in pre-qualifying, and all of our cars tonight at TTR finished in the top half of the field. So we've got promising signs, but still a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do, but you can be very happy walking away with a race victory. Madison Down, your race victor overall. Second position went to his teammate Richard Hampstead. Reece Gardner has him on standby.
I certainly do. Welcome to the commentary box, Richard. Good to have you back up here. Podium on a return to the series and a 1-2 for Trans-Tasman Racing as well. Must be super happy with that one, playing the team game and getting that 1-2.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, pretty happy with that result overall. Definitely think we were probably the second, third quickest cars in reality, but some good strategy, good teamwork, and I think Forzan might have made a little bit of a mistake in terms of how much fuel he took. Yeah, got us home the 1-2, so really happy.
Madison just said to Sperry that you guys weren't expecting to come away with the win. So what was your plan going into the race?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think it was pretty apparent, or it seemed to me anyway, that Forzan was definitely quickest in the first stint. I probably didn't really have a solid plan going into the race. Definitely were thinking about the long first stint, just because of expecting to get the track temp to increase as the race went on, and also to burn off as much fuel as possible. So making a really long first stint was definitely a key part, but yeah, exactly how long that was going to be was obviously down to the circumstances we were in. So yeah, but it's obviously turned out pretty well.
Yeah, we'd noticed on the first stop you and Madison came in a lap apart, but on the second stop you guys came in together. Was that a communicated change?
Not really. I sort of had to pit when I did because I had a couple of lapped cars behind me who were faster than me because they'd taken tyres, so I wanted to get away from them. I probably would have liked the chance to maybe even try to undercut Mad, but it just wasn't sort of presented to me in the circumstances. So, but still, second's a really good result.
Yeah, absolutely would be. So thinking about the long term then, can we expect you back at the next round at Interlagos to get some points and see how far up you can get?
Yes, I believe so. Timetables permitting, of course, but yeah, definitely should be there. Hopefully, we can tune up the TTR car a little bit more to take the fight to Forzen.
Well, before we let you go, Forzan, any shout-outs, any sponsors? Who gets it done for you?
That is Richard, not Forstan.
It is
My
Richard.
apologies. I don't know why that came out. Continue, Richard.
No, that's all good. Big shout out to Bianti Model Cars who came on board with us last round. So really happy to get a nice strong result for them this week. Also, big shout out to Virtual Racing School, who have obviously been a partner with the team for quite some time now, and yeah, they've been a great partner with us as well.
Thank you very much for joining us, Richard Hampstead, second place there. Well, Sperry, I sort of called upon Forzan prematurely. He now joins us in the box.
Well, there was nothing premature about his pace here today. Forzan, that qualifying was very important for you. You had the ideal track conditions in the opening split of qualifying, but a little bit of controversy with your contact with Chris Cox said. Just talk us through your perspective.
Yeah, not too sure about what happened there, to be honest, but no malice from my side at all. Mike Karloff thought that the blue flag would be on my screen when Chris caught up to my car, but I had Jamie behind me first of all, which I had no blue flag since, and since Chris got in front, there was just a split second until the blue flag came up on the screen. So yeah, I couldn't really see he was on the lap, and yeah, I just didn't really know what to do. He kind of came across over me, and yeah, I got a penalty for it, so don't know what's going on there.
Well, ultimately getting benched from qualifying didn't really do you too many worries. You got pole position and the pace started to walk away. 4.5 seconds of margin, but ultimately the strategy game on the pit stop seemingly fell apart for you. Was that a case of you getting your own numbers wrong, or was that a case of the team just slightly messing things up?
No, I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's all of us really. I think as a team we had a strategy to take X amount of fuel in the stop, in the first stop, which was too much. And the second stop meant that whatever fuel I had to take was not enough to cover the tyres. So yeah, as a team, I think we stuffed up pretty bad on that one. And yeah, just to be that much faster than everyone else and to not win the race is yeah, not good enough. So yeah, pretty upset.
With one drop round applied, you are the leader of the championship moving forward. A third place finish doesn't change that result, but in terms of today, would you see this as an opportunity lost and one that you need to bounce back from as you head towards Interlagos?
Yeah, absolutely. So Madison's just gonna get stronger throughout the season. Richard's getting pace as well, so definitely lost a few points there, which is not good, like I said. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Last couple of rounds for me haven't been too good either. Just had some bad luck or had some mistakes on my end. And yeah, it's just happened again today. So yeah.
Well, before we let you go forwards and after a third place finish, shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just like to thank everyone at United, Valvoline, to Ezy Finance, Western Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Ultimate IRTV, and Origin Graphics for their support. Just big thanks to Chris and Harley as well for the setup. It was an absolute jet, but overall, yeah, it was just not good enough.
Well, there you can see one Mr. Forzan El Nabi coming home with a third place finish. It looked on course for a race victory overall. But Reese, final thoughts as we bring the curtain to a close here at Watkins Glen.
I am genuinely surprised that we did not have a high-speed pile-up and that we did not have a safety car, although that is going to be a mark of controversy, I think, in the post-race discussions. It was a great round here at Watkins Glen, but I'm already turning my thoughts towards next round at Interlagos in a few weeks' time. Dane Warren must capitalize. He needs to get his season on track after this lack of a result that he's had here at Watkins Glen. James Scott and Harley Haber, they will be looking to Interlagos to try and regain control of their championship campaigns. Madison Down now has a look in with this win at Watkins Glen, but Andrew Gilliam, always one to watch. I can't wait to see how he goes in Brazil.
And you can catch that in approximately a month's time here on what is the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure you check out all of the brilliant action that goes on from all of the partners here on the network, the likes of RaceSpot TV, Apex Racing TV, the Global Sim Racing Channel, Podium Esports, and the like. But a massive thanks to those who get it done for us, from what is the sponsors of the replays, Motum Simulations, from the Oceanic Sim Racing crew that have been really working hard behind the scenes, from those who have been sponsoring the Virtual Racing School, and also to Ezy Finance. This has been Scops and round 6 of the championship. That's been Jay Kennedy on the cameras, Reese Gardner on the right-hand side, the Southpaw Racer. I am Jake Sperry, and it is Madison Down's time to shine. He becomes only the 6th different winner in 6 different rounds. So sorry, the 5th winner in 6 rounds of racing that he's got going along, and he very desperately needed to put the result together. Consistency's one thing, but you have to put yourself on the podium. You have to put yourself in victory lane to get the big results. Interlagos, though, is the circuit where battling becomes so vital, so paramount, and the one place that you can find that is, of course, here on the iRacing Esports Network. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you very soon.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got really outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys, I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?